Hey Darren,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you wanna change this on that letter of Diane's or not, but they have Roman as the presiding officer, you probably ought to switch that around and put Dawn as the presiding officer.
Okay.
And I'll sign it again.
Adjourn?
Oh, here's your. And then just put that other one in there, I guess the other one's Dawn's.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was that time yet.
You got 20 I can borrow?
Sure, Dwayne, for you anything.
All right.
The question is 20 what?
For 20,000?
Well, I'm not a millionaire.
You told me you were a good gambler.
Credits, that's it, credits on the
There you
penny
go.
poker machine.
Hello, Wally.
Morning, how are you?
Peachy.
It's tropical Montana.
Yeah. How's the road from Zootown?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Town is bare. Little ice on the sidewalks because it's freezing from the ground up, but the rest is good. At least in Missoula, 20 miles and 8 inches on the ground. So it dropped that fast. So, Clinton, we got lots of it. Got lots of cows to feed today now because it was brown yesterday, not today. So, there's about 2 inches at Frenchtown and then nothing this side of there.
It's working its way in.
It's trying. We'll see, I don't know.
Like I told her, it's not gonna snow that much anymore this year. I just spent $8,000 on a new plow for the truck.
Ooh, good.
Morning, Wally.
Mm-hmm. You may have an issue. I don't think it's gonna fill that much water.
Well, at least I'll have it for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to find that statute?
One of the statutes, I haven't, I haven't had a chance to look it up. I had to file water stuff this week. I had to file the Forest Service thing this week. So I just finished that contract off, which is good, and then all the other stuff. But I'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, I just,
When Dawn comes back, the whole amendment to the public comment thing is still looming there, and I would like to have that statute so that you can make it clear to
it's a
everyone.
guideline, yeah. I'll get it for you. Where do I work it? Yeah.
Guideline or statute, and
It's the statutes and the guidelines and the court cases.
in Montana,
Montana.
Okay.
That's good.
because you gave me the one from Washington,
No,
Oregon.
it's the one from Montana, but Montana used those Washington, Oregon cases.
And I wanna see where they adopted it as a statute.
It's not a statute, it's a Supreme Court case, which
That's
is,
what I wanna see.
Aragonés versus Town of Venice.
Okay,
That's the case.
so it was a Supreme Court opinion? Was it
Supreme Court
adopted,
decision, yeah.
was it adopted through legislature
No,
as a
the
statute?
Supreme Court did it. It's constitutional.
Okay. If you can make that a priority, I would.
Miranda is not a statute. Miranda is a Supreme Court case. It gives you the right to remain silent. Anything you say, and you have a lawyer. So the Supreme Court has the same effect as legislation, depending on what the opinion is if they're applying a constitution. And that's what Pisano did.
And that's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, and you got Pisano, but that's the Ennis case, which was good. It took us 20 years to get into that. Boy, that was a long old pull. Wow, that was hard.
Well, maybe I could kill
You're causing trouble. What you got? Anything fun?
I'm sure it's something that.
Oh, yeah, this is fun. Ruth?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because she's in the middle of that. I didn't know if they were in too. Yeah, with the whole.
Well, yeah, it's all. I mean, it's one of my advices or whatever, they take care of it. They regularly on.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, thank you.
This is pretty simple. The Corps wants to dedicate these. Most of the
Have they, we've had many meetings on that. But then no, so now the last time they came up. we said, some needs to be done, or we're gonna fund it.
Yeah, that's good. They will do it, yeah. The Corps has kind of gotten evil handed about it.
Yeah, no, they can't do it. But I don't.
Well, what happened was, the state of Montana in 2001 decided they wanted to own all the riverbeds and make that memorial. But the Department of Revenue didn't tell anybody. They invented the AutoCAD mapping program for the state, and Montana Cadastral, et cetera, was invited the Department of Revenue to pull all the navigable waterways off the tax rolls and give them to the state. So without telling Billings, which has the Yellowstone, Great Falls, which has the Missouri, Missouri, which has the platform, and all the other cities with rivers, without telling anybody, the Department of Revenue to tell our land the tax rolls. And telling us, when they did that, suddenly the Corps had no easements, because the Corps had made deals with cities.
I love
and
these old
everybody else
pictures.
stuff like that. They didn't, but then the Corps went, wait a second, so all those dikes in Missoula and in Billings, the Corps thought they had easements for, they had nothing for any of it. So the Corps went, oh, so that's what's pushing us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they want it maintained, you know, they want it right down, they want trees cut out. Yeah,
Right, how many times I've walked down those hallways and
they let us on there to do that.
It's kind of fun.
They have
History wasn't one of my favorite subjects in
projects to
school.
rehabilitate
I
it.
always like to see how things
If
are
they backed out of that, and said, we're not doing that.
As far as the dates and stuff,
And that's
I just
a lot.
struggle with.
Yeah, that was a courtesy of the state of Montana Department of Revenue's president
yeah.
in 2001.
That's cool. I love
Yeah,
that.
one of these days, that old river might just come up far enough to test that.
It may, yeah. But Missoula's a bit of a legend nationally. It's the only city in America where the Corps of Engineers spent 55 years and millions of dollars lining the river up perfectly to sewage treatment plant. So the first time it floods, this can take out the sewage plant. From the mouth of Hungate Canyon all the way straight down to Reserve Street, they made the river a straight line right at the sewage plant. Isn't that brilliant?
Can you believe that? I lost my pen already.
They don't think their stuff stinks then, is that what you're saying?
Right, no. But they did that. Literally, you look at it when you cross Reserve Street, they flooded the river for 10 miles, right at the sewage plant. Only in Missoula.
Good suggestion, thank you. No, that makes 100% sense.
Good.
You know, and I didn't know if you noticed.
Yeah, little iffy, holds that. No, they said coming in maybe tonight. Oh, really? And then tomorrow it's supposed to, Wired was, it was supposed to be down in single digits overnight. Saturday, Sunday. Well, we started looking around and seeing, what a guy could do to help out, with the environment and stuff like that. So we looked into those solar panels and I put a step in. And then the snow.
Covered them all up.
Yeah. And the other thing I'd done is when I put the house in, it was after that winter of '97 where we had a snow load. And the elementary, we built that at 105 pounds per square. So I said, well, that's good. Then if I can go 115, that's great. And then I put snow brakes on there because they slide off there after you put the metal roof on there. So now the snow will slow down and the solar panels. It just hangs up there. No, but I think I may be able to, there's a, on my garage, there's there's a row of panels and another row of panels. And then there's a space between the snow breaks, and I think it might put those heated things there. Yeah, I think those really work well.
How does this work?
Well, to start with, you get a 33% tax credit. So whatever you put in, they'll throw that in the kitty. Yeah, it's there for 10 years or whatever, paying federal income taxes, so that is bad. And then the way it papers out, the short of it is 12 years it's paid for itself. And what you have to do is it's $4.30 a month to be hooked up to the grid. Now, I didn't go with the battery backup. So my backup is really good. So when my meter runs backwards, it goes into the grid, okay? And then we have a true up.
Ooh, they're both there.
Block the entry.
Which is.
The Cowboy Counselor, from the American Heart Association, how's it going? From the American Breast Cancer Society.
There you go. I thought you were from the Contractors Association. We sell hammers and saws and
Oh,
screwdrivers.
borrow that one. I'm gonna borrow that one.
Tennis above it. Oh,
Look at the map.
she's gonna give a presentation.
Yeah, she said she'd be down.
So, maybe take a quick look at this, and then I'll give it to Darren. Remember the St. Regis levies? We were been talking back and forth, trying to get him to, the Corps engineer had a project last year lined out of $1 million, and they wouldn't
I
do
just
it
sent you
because they would
Zoom link.
take easement on that piece of property. Get the levies right there.
Right.
Well, they're not gonna put some money in the levy if they don't have an easement, so. And he drafted up that letter and, we'll send that.
I'm not trying to do your job.
Hear anything on Lori? Nope.
Yeah, I wanted to visit her. Like I said, I might go to do this too. She was going to start off giving me her verbal resignation. Mackenzie Mako said if somebody's in the hospital, you don't necessarily have to make them go through the hoops of finding a computer, typing up their letter and signing it and all that. If they're ill, you can, I could take her verbal resignation and I could draw up the thing and then say, I received your verbal resignation on such and such date and time, and we mail it to her with a grievance policy or thank you for your service. We can do it that way. So then she said, well, tomorrow morning, she was scheduled for surgery and getting this tumor removed. So she said, well, I'll see how it goes, so maybe I'll hold off. I said, okay, well, I'll get back in touch with you and see what you decide. Then we'll have to advertise. Maybe I'll give her daughter Brandy a call today and see if she wants her verbal resignation to stay or rescind it or what she's thinking.
Well, why did she get the verbal resignation?
Because she feels like she's too ill to continue doing, she has two kinds of cancer.
Yeah.
And she didn't want us to.
So, the state gal with DES called me this morning on the way down. Her name's Audrey something. And she said if something happens, and we need somebody to step in immediately,
Oh, yeah.
that she would be my supervisor. She's always.
Oh, where's she based out of?
I was
She has
just helping,
Missoula?
I did that.
Oh, so if we have a truck wreck on the path,
If it requires something like that, yeah. But I mean, or, I think she was talking something more serious.
right.
I don't know that Lori went out.
She did when there was a hazardous material, like if, she was pretty good about going out there.
Yeah, this gal. So So I've got her number, where'd they do it? At a very, somebody stole it. If you want this, go.
I'm pretty lucky. You know, in Elaine,
It is,
well, Elaine Smith is in.
so her number was out of Billings.
Oh, Bill.
And then
And she would.
the guy that lived
Yeah,
She
or maybe
said she would.
maybe she just meant she had somebody in our area that,
No, she said she.
Herself, huh?
Yeah.
okay, now.
Anyway,
Talk.
so her number is 406
the news.
281
Yeah, they have
3533.
in there now.
But you don't remember her name, it's Dee.
Audrey?
Audrey
I
Bush.
don't know what her last name
And she works at the school.
is. I don't remember.
Did I get an email there from, like I was expecting a letter from Maple and Helen, did I get an email?
I didn't see any in the mailbox,
Okay.
so,
Maybe-
that came today.
Okay.
For a minute, I thought your phone was working.
I'm not,
Who was in here last?
me and Candace were in here, I believe.
I wonder if she had played something now. The photo was.
She could have.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna have maybe Norm know, so
There's no power to it.
after the meeting, I'll get Norm here to take a look at it.
Good. Look at her, man.
Well, I took some, the other thing I took out was the minutes,
Oh,
and I have
Oh.
everything right here.
oh, the reason I helped with minutes is because we had to.
We had to make the changes.
Yeah.
That journal entry thing, did we read that anything on this last week?
Yeah,
Remember they had it all filled out for us?
yeah, it was pre-filled out. Maybe the G, or the GB, not, I didn't fill out, I remember doing all the other stuff was there, filled out.
Yeah, the one behind it.
Oh, here. I don't remember that. Yeah. So we have to do that today? Look at it, pass it, sign it? Okay.
Just says, please note in. What are you noting?
But don't they want you to do this part, you fill this out too, oh, this is for today? Today,
Yeah.
we'll do payroll, and then we enter the JV there, huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
The only mailbox we have is the one upstairs.
The girls put it on the wall,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, I was up there too with him. Sure, I thought they were gonna send it out, so maybe.
What were you looking for?
Letter from Mako, they were gonna mail, put it in the mail. Yeah.
I did get just reached that, so I'm slowly digging away out of that.
Oh, okay.
That's first attempt, so I'm sure you guys are probably gonna tear those apart.
Oh, we love picking people apart, yeah. It makes us feel
I'm
big and strong.
Well, I'm expecting it, 'cause that's my first one shot here. I'm trying to think of anything else that.
You coming down?
Hey? Didn't even know what that was.
Last week, I thought was sometime.
What do you
I
got?
can't remember what day.
I think he had a wrestling battle against her or something.
Oh, really? And what, today or tomorrow? Oh, on the snowstorm day?
You're supposed to get 14 to 25 inches? Is
Yeah.
that what the winter
Yeah.
storm warning
Yeah.
said?
Possibly 6 feet.
Wow.
I
Well,
just,
but,
I
let me
just
keep
throw
changing,
that
it was
in.
supposed to start snowing, last night at 11, and then they said, no, it starts snowing today, now it's not till 1, now it's not till 11 tonight.
And it's still 40 degrees.
I'm sure glad it was just raining and it didn't freeze. Sure made the drive running this morning. Not like I live 100 miles away.
Oh, shoot. You want me to sign some of them? I'll sign
Oh,
them.
gladly.
So we get her done.
Gosh, dang, are you like forgetting something? I probably got a couple minutes to print off. Too, huh?
Yeah, you do.
Why?
I did talk much today. Mary talked a little bit last night about Laura, just cases. He was senior uniform enough that she was probably not gonna make it back. So I was asking him, just, you got any ideas? Cause he was like number 2 on the LEPC, and then behind it, and he resigned that position here a couple years ago, got pissed off at him. So he resigned, and he said he didn't want to do it, I don't know if he would do it, but he was gonna try and talk to George about it.
And get some background on it.
Well, George did it before Laura did it. Remember?
Right, yes, I mean,
But
doctor
see-
would call George and get some background on the job. What he could expect if he, Jerry,
Well,
was gonna take
no,
it.
actually, he was gonna talk to George and see if George wanted to do it.
Oh,
And I said,
Oh.
why would he wanna do it now?
yeah, he's not, and he lives at Alberton, he's on the far end. That'd be too hard for him to respond to those truck wrecks or whatever else. Coffee maker,
He was,
maybe,
yeah, I think it is.
okay. They canceled that surgery, they must have thought that big snowstorm, well, I don't know why they canceled it. T-bone's not a surgery, like, sorry,
Yeah, yeah. Yes, and all the questions.
Oh, he visited, no?
Probably over there.
Oh,
What
yeah,
time did it
I hope
start?
it starts at 10.
Well, I thought it starts on noon, I thought.
It goes from 10 until noon, according to Gullet.
Yeah, I said it was a start till Yeah.
What do you guys do while you're gone?
Didn't know that.
Yeah. 2 weeks,
Yeah.
long time. Summer. Are you scrutinizing your own work?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking over everything. Getting ready to start writing stuff down.
Oh, there's your phone text, I texted you back, but I didn't know if, so I put you in my cell phone.
Yeah, that's
That guy that called, I texted you back. Yeah, and then I didn't know, if well, maybe you don't get text, I didn't, not that you have to tell me got it every time, but I didn't.
Yeah, well, I don't, actually, I'm not sure I got your number in here yet.
So you didn't know who I was?
I make sure I need to put that in there.
Okay. I should have said this is Roman, I guess.
I think. See, I do have it, I just don't have you in there, so.
Okay, and I'll put you in there too.
Sorry.
But I do think we're gonna get over this. Can't wait without having, we're still going. And you realize you've got the quick little condition. So the first one is definitely, yeah. Well, you realize when we must have house, and then you come back west, it's kind of west, this awkward place of heavily quick. There's a Robert Cabin, which is a massive building. And what this property is back in the day, and so that neighbors
Looks like here comes the snow.
Finally turned snow, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a wet snow.
Oh, boy.
They gotta go to Missoula tonight.
Good luck, be safe with that.
I'm supposed to too, Dwayne.
What do you gotta do in Missoula?
Oh, I gotta go help my brother with some stuff. He lives down there on Interland Road.
Oh, up by the
He
Y?
needs some help moving some things, yes. So,
Yeah.
and he needs some help moving some stuff, but I'm like, well, maybe we can wait till next week.
Yeah.
Debbie and Doug Muller's
Thank
50th
you.
wedding anniversary is tonight, so they're having.
What?
Candy.
Kellen, you didn't bring enough for everybody?
No, I didn't, I'm sorry.
Okay. Quite a, full education.
Oh. Patty.
I mean, it all looked good to begin with, you know?
Did you always have some problems with it?
Well, yeah, it just wasn't quite written. Down. I got emails, you can look at it.
He dropped the ball or somebody else?
No,
Oh. Well, like I said, finally you don't get to be the bad guy now.
and HRC was working on it, she had 2 or 3 people working on it, but hurried and said, you know, I just don't have the time, it's gotta come back to you, and it's gotta be
Yeah.
done by you. I told we'd be in employment.
All right, good job, little bulldog.
Got lucky on that one.
Wyndham School. Just there was a
Oh. So you've been sick? Is he actually sick? How come you use up annual leave and not really use sick leave? I mean, sick leave is for when you're sick, it's not for extended annual leave. But the reason is, son? Yes. Here it says not enough sick leave, so if he's sick, then people can donate some sick leave, and that's allowed, you're allowed to do so many hours they can donate, but that's just kind of weird. Using up annual leave first, and then he does sick leave. If he was sick, why wouldn't it sick leave first, you know, I don't know.
Maybe he's on annual leave.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, 8 hours. I don't care. Good catch there, Jimmy.
I think I might have to plug this into your computer to get it to work again.
Oh, yeah? Go ahead.
It shuts off. Well, I'll wait right close that way, because I think it's got like a sweep thing that goes to sleep after a while, and for some reason
I do that same thing.
I can't get it turned back on until I plug it back in.
In fact, I think one of them phone calls, I might have been asleep.
He stole my line.
You know that?
What's that?
Said, I think one of them phone calls, I might have been sleeping. Not that you cared.
As long as you don't snore, right?
Yeah.
You're pretty good at answering in your sleep then.
When I was working for the helicopter, we had a camp trailer. It was a great delight when they came out with Vacation Networks that could travel with you, you could have TV, because you had a generator.
I bet.
I don't know how many guys said, yeah, I came over to talk to you last night, and I looked in the window and you were asleep and you had the remote on, your finger on the remote, and the channels were flashing.
It's talented.
I said, well, you should have banged on, no, I wasn't gonna wake you up. And I think I still do that.
I know, I've been sleeping tired enough to sleep good lately.
If you know the way to share that, I'll take some of it. I was up at 3 this morning. Not by choice.
I am. I get up around 6 every morning to get started. But I usually stay up a lot later, but lately I've been in bed before 9. It's exhausting. And I'm not sure why, but
Retirement,
'Tis the
unemployment,
season.
social security.
yeah, I can't wait till spring.
Like your old deal, usually snowplow.
$1,000. You want it to be full-time, so you're 60.
Yeah, I'm sick of moving snow.
So
All I have is a little four-wheeler.
we don't normally hire people that year because we have, the budget isn't set. And we always
We're
really
six-seater.
because that's coming out of the Title III money, had nothing to do
Seat
with
six,
the
it has
budget.
to
Whereas
Somebody
this
could
is
say,
covering.
but I don't wanna be hit up.
And
Yeah.
if we
Can I
did,
have what?
that's taking that
Oh, yeah.
money.
Geez, that's,
Dirt.
I mean,
yeah, that's too much for that.
that's ironic if we
Can I
need
have
to refer it.
a older two-seater, Earth Cat side by side, which the last 3 years I've used as a snowplow, never had a problem. I thought I burned it up this year,
Oh, no.
but I got it fixed, but I don't even ruin it, so
Yeah.
I'm about $1,000. Bus,
Bought snowplow?
V,
V-plow? Those are nice.
So,
and I
if
just,
if you'd got Can-Am, you wouldn't have had that problem to begin with.
Hey, you know, I have a
I hear
2003.
Can-Ams are the biggest peak, they're worse than a
Shit.
Kawasaki.
Shit.
I got Polaris, 2003 Polaris Magnum, the 500. Bought it brand new in 2003. Still running like a champ.
That's a quad though, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we work it pretty hard in the winters. Our driveway's pretty small. We just got a little section that goes around to our shop. But
I'll tell you what, it's nice having that V-plow.
thank you.
Oh, I bet. You can get those for the four-wheelers now.
Yep.
I don't, they're a little overpriced.
Boss makes them, yeah.
Yeah, thought they were a little overpriced.
Yeah, Boss, well, you know what, actually, I looked at Myers, and Myers had the plows that were, actually for the plow that I got, the equivalent was more expensive than what I paid for mine.
Yeah. Well, the ones I seen, I mean, I was just looking for a four-wheeler, not a side by side, but.
But you got a cat in,
Mm-hmm.
huh? I'm sorry.
Had it for, it's a 2010.
They used to be, didn't they used to be the Bombardiers?
Yeah.
Yeah, they still are.
It's Bombardier, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard those are great machines. I've never had the money to own one, but.
They're made in Canada, Bombardier, they also make engines for planes and jets, and they make
Oh, okay.
train cars.
Bombardier, yeah.
For passenger train service, and of course, they like the Skidoo, snowmobile, and Can-Am four-wheeler.
Yeah, yeah. My brother works for the post office, so he makes a lot of money, and he was covered in, you know. And he bought a new Arctic Cat. That thing has got suspension like a little pickup truck.
A couple years back.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
a
'cause they don't make our cats anymore.
2017
They don't?
maybe.
Really?
They went out of business.
Really? The whole Arctic
That's
Cat
why
dealer?
the Harley dealer in Missoula
Yeah?
no longer sells Arctic Cats, they're a Polaris dealer.
I'll be there.
Oh, really?
And I went over to, Pinehurst, to the place that used to sell Arctic Cats, and they said, nope, Arctic Cat went out of business.
The Snowcat too?
Well, maybe not for their snowmobiles, but for their ATVs,
Huh?
because they have too much competition, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, there is. I mean, even the Chinese are shipping them over here right in the last minute.
The guy that works
That's a
on,
big business.
the guy that works on my, ATVs, he said, I wouldn't get rid of this, my Arctic Cat.
This is really nice. I think this is I'm not mistaken, I think it's a 17. And boy, it's way nicer than mine, but must be nice. I don't own anything nice. It's
Good, Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a.
Oh, and then this too, yeah.
It's, be interesting to see what it is.
Yeah.
Quick question, she hasn't sent her.
She sound good on the phone, or she sound like she's in pain?
She sounds all right.
Well, I texted her the other day there and said, you're doing pretty good.
She sounds okay.
Does she think she'll be back next Friday?
I think so, but I think maybe that's.
Yeah, she hasn't said anything about when she's got back in, so I kind of.
Well, it'll be kind of, she said 2 weeks.
Did she tell you what the procedure was? I'm joking.
It's kind of funny how,
So I can only imagine when this thing cranks, you know, all those little animals.
Really?
Yeah.
So how long are we having it?
Just making a wild
Yeah.
yeah.
Trying to get it in,
Yeah.
get it in, trying to get it in. And like I say,
That's weird, that's clear color, huh? Does it taste okay, or is that water?
that's just water.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought it
yeah.
was some new thing, we're gonna have a clear coat now.
No, sir, I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm drinking a lot of water. Just water, water, water. I need to lose some weight, because since college, I've just continued to, and you know, it's the funniest thing, because I've tried, during college, I played the D line, so I was continuously trying to gain. In college, I continued to gain. Now I'm like, holy cow.
What, did you go all 4 years, you get a degree in college?
Yes, sir. I have a degree in business administration,
Oh, wow,
management.
congratulations. U of M, or where'd you go?
I played for Western, U of Western.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you played football for?
I did. I had a scholarship. Played for 4 years down there.
All right,
And then
what was your position?
I played 3 techniques defensive tackle mostly. A little bit of nose guard,
Yeah,
occasionally out on the end, but mostly inside. Got beat up a lot.
a friend of mine played defensive tackle for Dickinson.
Oh,
He owns Brian Valdo with Houlihan. Yeah, he got a scholarship way over there. He didn't come home for Thanksgiving very often.
I had, my best scholarship offer that I had was to Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
I had a full ride there, but
He got away.
yeah, it was like a 14-hour drive. And I didn't want to be that far away from my family. 3.5 hours was far enough.
Yeah.
You know, I could get away and do my thing.
When you take the train, that'd be even longer, because they stop along the way.
And it's funny though, like whenever something happened in Dillon, it seems like everybody here knew about it before I did.
They didn't ask me, but they changed it.
So they knew your party happened?
It's weird how the towns have ears,
A
right?
few states, the
Yeah.
meter just ran backwards, and you could hook it up.
I didn't do a whole heck of a lot
So
of
then
it.
the legislator said they had to pay for it. They never said how much.
Yeah, my
So
coach
they-
Dan Lucia,
they
he had,
offer a raise
must have had pretty good
higher than
connections
that.
over there, because he like knew when I
Oh,
was
yeah,
starting.
that's where he went to school too.
It's Stephen, and it'll probably be a law change at some point.
Well, that was a joke for a while, in Superior, that
Voice yet.
all the teachers
And
hired
it's just
came
getting
from Western.
to work.
Yeah, I know, I chose not to be a teacher, because,
Uh-huh.
well, it just took a lot.
We'll see how.
I don't know.
It's supposed to be.
And business was something I was interested in. I was always good at math and numbers and stuff, so it just seemed like the logical choice. I could have finished in 4 years, but I tried to do a little too much to play sports, I think. One time I took 18 credits during the middle of the season. And it, just the workload was just way too much, and I actually ended up having to retake classes.
Yeah, most people do what, 14 or 15?
12 to 14 is what they recommend, just staying full-time while you're playing.
It's there for 10 years.
I usually took 50 at the most. But yeah, that was a long time ago.
Can I ask you, Dwayne, can I ask you a question about what you guys are doing?
Sure.
How we doing on the investment side there, the stuff we talked about a week ago, and what has to do with business, like the Raymond James stuff and.
Yeah, I would have to go up and check with Mary, but they were gonna try and move that. I assume they got it. Can go out.
Yeah, I'd be, well, that's up to you, I'm just curious, you know, if we if we'd done anything with the Raymond James, and then where we're at with, did our percentage get changed over? On
Yeah, that was that day they
the
changed
the
it.
sweep account?
Yep.
Yeah, that got changed right away, and see if I still have it. I asked Mary Mueller via text about the Raymond James account, and she said that she emailed the representative but hadn't heard back from him, and that was a couple of days. She said, we can talk about it on Friday, so maybe she'll come down at 10 o'clock or something.
That worked?
Yeah, because you guys are the only ones that can make that decision, right?
We make the decision, but they can broker the deal, the treasurer and.
Yeah, you have to give the okay to
Right.
Raymond James.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, we're just curious about that. So the sweep account's been fixed, and Raymond James we don't know about, and the other investments, do we know where we're at as far as, and did you guys sign that agreement with the broker? There was supposed to be, something, because Mary Arnell was supposed to be in charge of, or have the ability to make those decisions up through December. And at that point, there had to be some documentation signed by you guys, so that you guys made the decision, other than Mary Mueller was supposed to be able to make a decision if it was on a CD, it had to be, have a decision like right away.
Right, and Dawn,
Pardon?
and Dawn,
And on,
and Dawn.
yeah,
And that guy said he was gonna contact Dawn.
okay. Because we may be sitting out there with investments, so we don't know whether or not there's any legitimacy, because nobody has the authority to do that until that document signs that, right?
Yeah, that's what they said.
I would think that'd be worth looking into, because that's a huge amount of money that could be sitting out there that needs to be invested. So anyway, I just wanted to ask those questions.
Yeah, well, that guy said that he was gonna give.
Well,
it to
typically
me.
those brokers are back to you within a day or so, that's their thing, so I would hope that
I
somebody.
haven't heard a lot from Dawn, but I can certainly ask her.
How's she doing?
She said she was feeling pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
She has some kind of medical procedure, she said.
Yeah.
I know, that's just where I'm at too.
Yeah.
are you keeping track of our signed ones? Put them over here by Darren.
Yeah, so that one's gotta go back up to Andy and he can mail it, or.
I know.
Okay. Any short letter, email.
Yeah.
That one needs to go back to it? Okay.
Or we can.
Candace comes down, we can give her, she'll be down.
This is ours, right?
That
For the trails.
that trail, when that go mail out to somebody? The one we just signed for the trail?
Trails.
Diane,
Yeah, it goes to somebody.
say
So
to,
I called them,
We wouldn't
that's
have
to
this
whom it
one.
may concern.
so I sent them an email early the next day.
Well, Diane's coming in today, right? Please give her to her then,
Yeah,
too.
it's just if you don't do it,
Yeah, we can hold that for when she comes in and see what, it says just to whom it may concern, right?
Yeah,
maybe that's just our copy, but I don't know why.
Yeah, why we sign our own copy.
yeah, seems like we got
So we'll hold one for Candace, we'll hold one for Diane.
And just go ahead and.
There you
I'll just set them right here for now.
Okay, very
That
good.
way we don't
Lose
lose
them,
them.
yeah, keep my big pile and then get lost.
It's too late for you to.
What was, what were they worried about?
Well, yeah, normal bill, and you don't ever space for another ride, it's
It says I
getting
can choose
ridiculous.
to do a CD,
Everything's
everything I want.
inventory row, which the proposed wilderness, or, you know, if there's a Wolverine or a lynx or a cheese.
I said, okay, we'll talk about it.
If you won't log it, let us recreate. And who has a problem with winter time recreation?
It was pretty interesting. Done some item issues on what he kind of from the state. It's chasing out the helicopter trying to count. You know, everywhere they were chasing it.
He said, well, I didn't
A lot
want
of
to
goers around.
Oh,
Clear cuts.
yeah.
Christmas.
I heard what you said.
I almost said, that's all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody played that on you?
They said their numbers were pretty good other than Unit 4, and I said, no, I can tell you why that is.
And then he said, well,
And I
Yeah.
told
see,
them,
these are the best route, and that's some other things you can.
usually they kick you off there if you say too much.
Things I'm not sure I understand, that would be like municipal bonds, stuff like that. This is what them rates when you get, if they're longer term. But they, I mean, this.
No way.
Yeah. No, that's.
I haven't ever heard of.
No, you're not. Easily discernible? Oh.
That's what I said. Did any project locally? Sometimes
I can never tell when you're pulling my leg.
No, I'm saying.
Were there any comments after that?
I didn't see.
That's over 4%.
Quit making me be so funny if I hurt myself.
60%. My question.
You get me going, little bulldog.
All my taxes done, waiting for well, unemployment, it's gonna be an I-9, what they send out, and then, now I got his last pay stub, it shows all the individuals, I mean, they got 4,000. And, I didn't charge him anything for it, except. That's why I sent his comment. Between time for it. I am a brother, no, it's not, this is the guy who couldn't be. So I said, officially, I've been retired, he said, with the client, and that's, I'm tracking hours already, and that's what we do. Yeah. They made him offer. The first thing they come in is we signed the contract. So, you know, our claim is you're sitting in one room in Arrowwood, and another room in the Garrett, and so we're sitting there, and they come back and said, we signed the contract, they said, a big part of your claim is all the additional days based on all the CDs, or the change orders. So they said, because there's a federal law that I found that said the cumulative impact of excessive change orders and how it affects the sequencing of your work and everything else is a cost you can go out. So what I did is I went after, I had it up to almost $1 million. But it was real. So he needed like $215,000 just to cover the additional wages costs. And so the first thing they said is, but we paid all the change orders. I said, yeah, but the way your change order is written up on your form, you can only charge for materials and labor. That's it. And then I get to charge an hour for writing it up. And I said, so that don't cover, I'm sorry. That don't cover Cindy's wages, Holly's wages, Susan's wages, Susan's helper's wages, office costs, any of that.
Morning, how are you guys?
Good, how are you? So I want to, these are the costs I'm talking about, the indirect costs. Not
How are you?
So my, we're gonna get a bunch of snow.
Yeah, so we're calling for it.
There was more. So now we want the indirect costs. And so I presented that as part of it, and then we had some other parts that we found, just reviewing court cases. You know, I did specifics, I didn't just want to change the word pretty soon. I found a website for these lawyers that deal with claims extensively. Usually they're private, and they don't have to court engineer.
Oh, you guys doing that? Yes.
They come out and they say, well, you guys have.
Must, looks like RW must be Renee Woolridge. Yeah. She worked 5 hours on Tuesday and was done.
How are you? So did Lily go to the Forest Service meeting?
Yeah.
So then they come back out and they say, first thing they say is, it sounded like they were gonna settle for
Do you have a letter?
Yes, ma'am.
You can leave it there.
We didn't know who to mail it to, it says to whom it may concern, so what do you want with this one?
Take it.
You're gonna take it?
Well, if you could scan it and send it to me, would be better. I mean, I can take it too, but
Okay.
I can scan it.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. Scan it.
And we usually
Yeah,
keep
but I'll-
copies, we usually keep copies ourselves.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
likely we'll scan it anyhow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's all I
Will
have.
do.
So I don't even have to be here?
I think you get.
I'm on the agenda as an action item.
Yeah, so we probably should wait to have everybody sign it.
That's okay. I
You
don't
wanna
care.
come back, or do you want to?
If you can do it, well, I'll sit through this anyway, so. You told me already. I'm on at 11:10, right?
I mean, I guess the only thing that, yeah, if you write it, yeah.
Well, Dwayne didn't want to make a motion last time that it be signed, that I write, that we get a letter. Which, from now on.
Yeah, I should now, I
Sign.
should have waited, because you want to sign this letter, it's on the agenda, and actually,
And I re-
supporting you, and then, so if someone wants to come in and say, no, don't support it, we should just wait for.
It was on last
It only
week
takes
too,
about
but,
2 minutes.
yeah,
Nobody's here to-
that's why I said 5, less than 5, should
Yeah.
be 2.
Town always-
Yep, you gotta get it in by Monday.
Okay. All right.
That's kind of hard to do it one person anyway. Right.
And then we're gonna challenge it.
The ones that are already in here too, or,
I like to fit on.
yes, you probably have longer legs, or longer arms too.
My daughter Mackenzie,
So there's
she'd wear a pair of shorts, same thing that someone else would wear, and she was, because her arms were too long. And it, yeah, same,
Yeah.
exact same, but there, yep, and she gets so pissed.
This is dresses only.
I said, so Glenn, she's
Thanks, Mary.
And turned out it wasn't.
Or move it,
I
yeah,
said,
it
so
doesn't
then
go
they
away.
said, it's not a letter. And then they sent everything we sent to their attorney.
And your side, your side, and your side.
So he said,
You're
this
better
was
at
just.
that than I am.
Oh, wow. Police are brought that. That last. Yeah, he got it down for me. He's really good. And I was talking about Roman wants he was trying to find it on this other map. I better bring it back.
Does everybody? It was a mediation, you know, it's, he said.
All right.
Go to settlement and Bible and divide the baby. And then after this,
He's gonna come out of this is equitable, so. See, you don't get it. So I said, I get it, it's up to all of us. I just have a question.
How are you?
I thought that
Over there.
yeah, I was supposed to really.
Can move it back.
I think it was supposed to. But I had like, Bozeman, big sky. From east, they got this, from Missoula east. That's all right. So we got your new paper right now. They have many indications of the data as he was president. We have other county because they were young and small. So
I'll show him when I go back up.
and the guy goes, oh yeah, it was, so then I was thinking, let's just get it.
Yeah, how are you
Yeah, because when we gave raises, he didn't get one. They have their own budget, they can sit there. When they have a board, I mean, unless they don't have a legitimate board.
No, maybe that's not.
We agree.
Oh, no, there's Steve.
Yeah, the problem now is.
Yeah, I just write that down, I'll forget it too.
Diane, he got the phone and apologized for her phone. So like in the future, I'm always thinking about people like 50 years from now, reading our plan. So people might think that we need to be a raise. So just add on front of this, received from the county library board. The county, they have their own fund, they have no budget, so they actually recommended that the rate change from the. So if we just add that, people won't see. Mid budget cycle. So just add that line. In the next thing, and I was here, I don't remember, Forest Service wanted all to sign a letter, but he said he thought the officials should sign it because there was blood.
Water contract.
Yeah.
Finish the water contract. But I'll get with Wally.
But, yeah, we talked about the road update and our
All right, it's 10:05, and the first item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. All please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's a new flag cost?
I was looking pretty rowdy.
It sure is.
That one went through a battle, I think.
You know, I'm glad you fixed that, because that was gonna be a public comment.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for that flag, and it should never be tilted lower than the contact.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, 10:05, first item on the agenda is Ken Burley, Forest Development Road Department Agreement, designated person to manage Proposed road plan for first quarter, list roads to maintain as well as map. Property tax investment rates update. Billing for Schedule A, website update, equipment for recording, county meetings, action item. Mr. Burrow.
Okay, yeah, the Forest Road Development thing, let me talk a little bit about that. Are you guys aware of apparently, and you guys have to help me out here, we've signed an agreement to do the Joe Road, is that right, Dwayne? I think you and I talked about that. For the Schedule A.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the Schedule A, isn't it, Jason?
Not the entire Joe.
No, not the entire Joe Road.
No,
So $1 million is gonna go in that 0.8 of a mile?
$1 million was for the crushing, correct? Isn't that the Joe project?
Yeah, that was Little Joe, the crushing place.
It's also narrowing the roads, is that correct?
I'm not.
And some culvert work. So my question is, there's only 0.8 of a mile on the Schedule A that's in the Joe Road. So that's why I'm asking, are we gonna spend $1 million on that 0.8 of a mile? Or are we going farther up? Because the amount of crushing for $1 million, I think the plan is to go farther up the road than 0.8 of a mile.
It is, you're right. It must not have got extended on that then, on that.
And so this, yeah, that might be something you wanna look into, because here's the way I see that. First of all, this thing was put up originally so that local contractors got a piece of that work, is that not true?
Yes.
And it's advertised in the mineral only. And that's been a good practice, and I support this program, by the way. I want everybody to know that I support this program. But I think the county needs to be a part of the decision-making, which is what the resolution or the cooperative agreement says. We've never done that, as far as I know, period. So this is a classic example of where we've really screwed up, is because the St. Joe Road got awarded to a contractor that's not from Mineral County. We don't have a mill here anymore, so that's to benefit the Red Bull timber sale. So the Red Bull timber sale gets put up, and all the timber leaves our county, with our $1 million footing the bill for that. That doesn't make any sense to me. So maybe you guys could help me with that and ask me how that came about, or how we're gonna rectify that. And if it's not on the schedule, unless you guys sign something, and when you put this together, it means nothing. So that would give you an opportunity to go back and find a road that benefits our county, not something that benefits somebody from Sanders County or Bonners Ferry, Idaho, or wherever Woods Crushing is from, or a sawmill that's gonna go out of Idaho or Sanders County, probably. So, if that makes any sense.
What's that, this project?
Anyway, you can think about that, but it just doesn't make any sense for us to put $1 million up there for the benefit of somebody else. Absolutely doesn't make any sense.
The Forest Service is reimbursing that $1 million.
Right,
It's not county, when you say the county is spending $1 million, it's a Forest Service project that they are running through the county to kind of help and assist, not only expedite the project, but to help assure that local contractors get some work. It's not our $1 million, Mr. Burley, it's the Forest Service.
Well, apparently you haven't read your agreement that's signed by the county commissioner, because it says you're supposed to be a part of the decision-making process, not the Forest Service.
I'm talking about the monetary portion of your statement, not the rest. But the monetary portion is not, county is not spending $1 million.
That's yet to be determined, because if you look in this, if you read this document, it says that the value of the dollar is supposed to be determined in a project agreement, which we don't even know if there's a project agreement, because you guys don't know what you signed, unless you have a copy of that somewhere, because nobody seems to be able to know where it's at other than Forest Service. So, at this point, you're saying, and that's been past practice, but that's not what the document says.
So what are you proposing, that we tell the Forest Service not to spend their
I'm
money on?
proposing that going forward, you take a close look at this thing and read the document that you're signing, so that you know what is gonna benefit Mineral County. This benefits Mineral County in no way whatsoever that I can see, unless you can explain that to me. I just don't see it. So the Cedar Creek Road that we talked about last time, yeah, I can see a little bit of benefit in that because there are a few people live up there, but not a heck of a lot of benefit. But there's a lot of roads that really, maybe Jason can talk to that, you know, there's a Dry Creek Road, there's the, we talked about it before, the Sawmill Gulch Road, the Flat Brook Road, all these roads that we maintain, which, by the way, are on this agreement that says the Forest Service is supposed to maintain, and we're maintaining them. And we don't get one penny back from the Forest Service for that, and we're supposed to according to this document. So, you know, there's some more money that we're just walking over there by not paying attention. So, what I'm saying is when you sit down, it's probably too late to do anything about the Joe, because you guys have already signed the agreements. Other than the fact that if you're doing the whole road, it's not on the Schedule A that I have, and that's the one you guys gave me.
And I don't really feel that that's a complete true statement, Ken, because when this whole thing started with the Red Bull, that was a number of years ago. You know that as well as I do. It's been forever coming. There was a sawmill in Mineral County. We were having people work. This was just part of that, a follow-up. The Red Bull was put up as a fisheries project. The crushing of the gravel was to make the road bulletproof so that we didn't harm the bulls.
So you're saying you made this agreement years ago?
We made it, well, the crushing part of it was just last year.
Okay, there you are. So last year, we didn't have a sawmill. We hadn't had one here for years.
Right.
So that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
We didn't have a sawmill when you signed that agreement. So that's all I'm trying to say with this thing, and I've been trying to say it for 7 weeks. And there's been absolutely no movement at all on this project. You haven't assigned anybody to look into it. I asked you to do that. I asked you today to do that. I put it on there as an action item. You can table it, or you can make a recommendation. But somebody needs to look into this, and you need to look into it for the benefit of Mineral County, not for the benefit of the Forest Service or somebody in Idaho or somebody from another county.
You don't think that any loggers might be hauling logs on that road to a sawmill?
Tell me who's a local logger here anymore.
Locker?
James Hawker.
That's one.
Yeah.
And how many million feet are gonna come off that sale? Most all the log truckers are gone now over here. Shepherd's not hauling logs anymore, Bailey's not hauling logs anymore.
Pete Vidu's still hauling.
Pete's still
Is there
hauling.
any fish?
There's a few.
And then, you know, a while ago, before I was a commissioner, there was a big push from a lot of people in Mineral County and St. Regis that wanted the Joe Road improved a great deal. In fact, they wanted it paved because they wanted to
Still
increase,
want to.
they wanted to increase visitors coming there that are, you know, over on the St. Joe side where it's paved. So I didn't think that if the Forest Service wants to spend money to improve the road to help with the loggers and the fish, but also it could help the people traveling the Joe Road who might come to St. Regis and spend money. So, I mean, there could be a benefit to having that road improved.
It's possible.
Yeah.
But there's also benefits to improving the roads that we use every day for our school buses and for our emergency vehicles, our sheriff's department, our road graders, our gravel trucks.
And with
money
this-
we're spending
yeah.
money on and getting no reimbursement.
And with this Forest Service agreement, and they're involved too, yeah, we should be involved, but they're gonna have to agree that, number one, they have the money, and number two, they have the money to justify improving a road that our school bus is on it versus one that they can tie to a timber sale or a justification, because if we sit down with Nate and say, hey, the Deep Creek Road's kind of bumpy for the school bus, he's gonna not say, well, here's $1 million, redo it. I mean, we have to understand that they have to have justification, reasoning when they put out that kind of money, and usually it's tied to something that benefits them, yes, and to benefit loggers, yes, and to benefit us. I really wish the sawmill didn't go down either, but we still do have people that want that road improved, whether it be a logger or a tourist or a recreationalist.
But it's not, if you read the agreement, Roman, it's not totally up to the Forest Service.
It's not,
It's
no.
called a cooperative agreement.
Right.
And I've been pointing that out from day one. You guys are supposed to sit down, there's supposed to be a project agreement written, there isn't one. Not that I can find anywhere. This county doesn't have a copy that I'm aware of.
T-Bone, have you ever, how often does Nate come out? Because, you know, his involvement is probably critical to making sure that we have more visits with him.
Right, and we can make that clear with him too,
Mhm.
before we do any more projects, to come out and give an overview and sit down with you guys and, you know,
Yeah.
it's something because some of his projects are fairly small, you know, some of them, that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I talked to him, he actually called me this morning, and he said all the projects that he does, he gets the money because they're tied to something, to a specific something. And that, he's able to do that crush and place up there because of the logging. And he goes through us because we can use the Schedule A agreement. He's gonna do it with or without it. He uses that because it's what we've been doing. But if we said, no, we're not gonna do it, he's going to let that project anyway, because the money's available for that. But no, we can request he come in and.
Well, that's the agreement you signed.
Project.
That's the agreement that was signed in 1965, says that you do that. You sit down and you decide together what the project is. And as long as the county is a part of that, and they agree with that, that's fine. But you say that's not our money, that is our money. That $1 million is gonna be tied up for a length of time without any interest bearing. We just went through that. We were getting 0.5% before, now we're getting 3 on a sweep account. And so that $1 million, you gotta have it available to write a check in that sweep account. So when you write that check and it languishes out there and we don't get billed back for that, that's 3% on a lot of money that we're not getting. So there is some cost to us, right?
Yeah, but it's not $1 million.
Well, it may not be, but it's still a cost to the county.
Yeah.
And that's something you should be looking at. And weighing those benefits. But getting back to this agreement, I suggest you read that because it says the county does have to be a part of the agreement. So in the past, what's happened is the Forest Service has brought us a project and we just signed off on it and got it done. And it's a good thing, don't get me wrong. I don't wanna see it go away. I just wanna see us be a part of it. And I think the Joe Road may not be the best investment when we got a lot of other roads in this county that are falling apart. And if you look at the Schedule A, and if you read this agreement, you're blading roads right now that the Forest Service is supposed to be blading, according to what this says. So, and we talked from the very first meeting about cost share and getting reimbursed from the Forest Service for those roads or let them blade those roads. That's a negotiated thing. It's in here. But somebody needs to do that. So that's what I was asking you guys from the very get-go. You need to sign that to somebody that understands this and let them go ahead and manage this for you and bring it to you so that you know what you're actually doing. So anyway, enough on that. I just want you to realize that there's a lot going on in this and there's a lot of money involved in this. And we've pointed out several different ways that the county's not getting its fair share of the money. So, you know, when we talk about a poor county, that's...
Well, I mean, the agreement from 1965, just to point out differences in money when they agreed it. Since 1965, the federal government, Department of Agriculture, decided in 1976 to award us PILT money for the acres out there. So we get more money from that from 65 that did not exist. And then in 2000, they created the SRS, Secure Rural Schools funding, which has really helped our road department. That's why there is not a county road tax, because those monies coming in are earmarked for the road department. And so it would be interesting to see how much of a gain or loss, win or lose, has happened since 1965 with the Forest Service actually giving us welfare money now, but we still have money enough to run the road department on pretty well. And we could, when we get involved, we typically help the Forest Service expedite their project because we think it helps Mineral County people and residents in some way. So we might be missing out on a little bit of interest, and we should be maybe talking to Nate more about the projects. But like T-Bone said, they have to justify it with some kind of a project that they're doing. It's not that we can sit down and tell the Forest Service, hey, there's a road over here, over there that we'd rather you put $800,000 in to improve than this one. I mean, they're gonna have to, they're probably gonna understand what we're talking about, and it would benefit our county better, a road somewhere else, but we have been signing off on them, agreeing to them, because it's better than nothing, and it's their money and they wanna do it, and they're, like he said, they're gonna do it anyway. It's tied to their logging project. by funneling it through us, it just helps the locals a little bit more, helps people with road graders and contractors.
Maybe a good example for you might be Flat Creek Road, you know, that project up there on the mine's been going on forever. That's a Forest Service project.
You mean that cleanup thing?
And they're using our county road, we're blading that. And so that gets back to what Willie talked about originally with scoping, you know, if you had somebody involved in that, like a resource manager or somebody, to get involved in the scoping process, you can include blading in there and take that off of Jason's plate.
So
Or you
you're
could-
proposing a full-time person to be hired to do that, or?
Well, you hired one, you just haven't brought him on board yet.
Oh, our county forester through the Title III
Well, I
funding?
think he's called resource manager, whatever your title is, yeah. But as of this morning, I haven't heard from you guys, it's been 3 months since you awarded that bid, so I don't know where you're at with that, but. if
Well,
it's
Counselor,
no-
you were drawing up the contract, so we can ask, where are we on that? 'Cause
I've got to try to finish it, I don't know if I'll get it done today, probably I'll get it.
And I understand Wally's busy, but it's the third meeting I've been to when we've got the same answer. So, you know, that's the kind of progression we're talking about here. You know, you guys didn't follow up on that to see, and here we are having these issues that I'm talking about that somebody should be involved with. So the Flat Creek Road, getting back to that, could be two things, a scoping project, which could be you include blading in that contractor's scope of work. And so that takes that off of Jason, so he doesn't have to deal with that, he can be doing other things. It also, could be part of the Schedule A, which could be a road that benefits the Forest Service as well as the county. So there's some things that need to be looked at, that's all I'm saying. I agree with the project, I just don't agree with the way it's managed.
Jason, do we blade that farm?
For the EPA, we have no. We
You
have-
bladed up as far as Schultz's, right?
We bladed about the same as we would have bladed it before or another.
you're not
They
increasing.
actually Kelly has went up and bladed, and they did put some ground down, they did clean some culverts. They did do some work to the county road, so, but we haven't specially bladed it, I guess.
I mean, you haven't increased your number of blading jobs on that road, it's just the standard that you've been doing all these years for Schultz?
You know, we may have bladed it 2 years ago, a little more, but there was also a big logging project coming out of there, so there was like, I don't know, 20 trucks a day using that road. So yeah, it was getting beat up through that. And that might have been, but most normally we haven't had to.
That gets back to the scoping thing with the logging project, that wouldn't have happened, he wouldn't have had to do that extra work. And I believe on Schedule A, Jason, if you look at that, road under Forest Service jurisdiction, Flat Creek, beginning at the end of the pavement, ending at the Schultz Ranch Road.
Yeah.
So the Forest Service, that's the Forest Service road. So the Forest Service is supposed to either blade it or cost share it with you.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Commissioner reviews.
So that's what I'm talking about. There's a classic example of where we're doing the work for the Forest Service and not getting any money. And to talk to the cost share stuff in this Forest Development Road Cooperative Agreement. So those are all things that, as far as I'm concerned, they need addressed. That's up to you guys. I got my papers all over here, but the next thing I think I had on there was this road development thing, this, this comprehensive road policy resolution. That was put together, when was that, 93 maybe? I don't know. If it says on there. But it talks about the things that I asked about here in this thing, as far as a list of roads. Let's find that, but it talks about the commissioners sitting down with the road foreman and developing a quarterly report on what work you're gonna do and how it's gonna get done and when it's gonna get done, which has not been done for, I don't know, Jason, probably not since you've been there, right?
Yeah, I never even seen that agreement or that road policy
Yeah.
until.
Well, it is a resolution. Have you seen it recently?
I just seen it when.
Okay, when we talked about it. So, do you guys keep a resolution book, or how do you do that?
It's up in the clerk and recorder's office.
There's a whole book, okay.
A whole book of all the resolutions ever passed.
Okay. Anyway, so, you know, that's something, and I'm gonna throw you in the bus, Roman, because, and it's been 3 years of spring, we've been talking about ditch cleaning. And if you had that policy in place, you would know when it was scheduled to be done, and you would know if it was done. If you were meeting quarterly with your road foreman and supporting him, that work would be done and you would know it would be done. It's never been done. So, and there's supposed to be a map too of all the county roads and the maintenance that goes on and how they're maintained. And it's supposed to be posted according to this. And that's never been done.
Since '93 when they passed it.
Well, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know when it was done, if ever.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it is a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of a resolution. I would think it would benefit you guys to know what's going on out in the county in your districts. If that stuff is readily available, you could look at it, somebody asks you a question like me, you could say, well, we're gonna clean those ditches. And I'm just using that as an example, Jason, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus either, but, you would have those answers readily available if you were involved. I think we already talked about investments, investment rates, and do we have that information?
Our treasurer is behind you there, so if you could ask of the progress with the Raymond James specifically, is that the one?
Actually, all of it, where we're at, just kind of an update on where we're at, maybe, Mary, you could fill us in.
Basically, it's not easy to do in one day, so we're still researching a lot of stuff. We're looking for the articles of organization, which is what the representative from UBS wanted. Articles of organization happened when we were created, 1920?
1914.
1914. So, I'm not sure, I'm still looking into that. I'm gonna get a hold of Mako and just see if they know. Callahan's looking for the articles of organization. There's a lot of stuff we have to kind of gather before we can, but I feel I would, when I come to you guys with some answers, I think every one of those people are starting to step up because we're going, you know what? The rates are coming up and you need to accommodate us. Just like Trail West that week, it was 3 to 5 minutes. He called me back and boom, we had at least 3% up from 0.05. So I think there's a lot, it's a quick learning process for me. I've learned a ton in the last couple weeks. So at this point, there isn't I really don't have any answers to say this is exactly what we're gonna do because I want to run it through you guys. You know, we have to look at a lot of different places. There's tons of places out there that we can invest in. So I think it's just a learning process, and I think that we need to, I've actually been looking at classes and stuff on investments so I can further understand what we have, what ability do we have to move on and say, hey, you bid against each other.
Within the limitations of the government.
Right, you do have, there's a lot of laws, a lot of rules and codes, but definitely I think it's been a great, we do need to research into it and see what's best for the county, for sure. But we have not technically, we're still gathering information as far as investments but definitely I think Raymond James, we don't have a local representative anymore, and I think that we could get some higher rates, but again, you're limited on when they come due and whatnot.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
I agree with what Mary's saying. You probably can't do anything with Raymond James other than switch it to a different broker because there's a time frame on that thing. But those are all things that you guys, the decision makers, need to know when those time frames are, so when you can make those decisions. Because that is county money that needs to be invested. Just one thing, I appreciate the class thing, but that's what brokers do for us, is to tell us how and when to best invest. Because that's just taking time away from the county employees when they're having to do that work. Okay. Okay, update for billing on Schedule A, you know where we're at with that, has that all been billed?
Update with
The billing, Schedule A billing, has it all been billed?
everything's, yeah, I got a text this morning.
Everything's been billed,
Everything's been billed through December.
okay, and we've received a money or the that yet?
Probably, I haven't received a new bill,
Okay,
and the reimbursements have been, or the reimbursement have been sent out, but we haven't got the money back yet.
okay, thank you.
It's usually a 6-week.
Yeah,
On average, it's usually 6 to 8 weeks turnaround.
Takes time.
From when it comes out of the bank to when we get it back.
Website, any movement on the website?
Well, I can tell you what I know about it. So we started working on this probably back when Don was still HR. And because we've had complaints and we wanted to update a little bit and see just what it would cost to update and everything. She did some feeling around, got some estimates from one outfit. I also found a local person that does websites. And then Don became commissioner, and Don hasn't been here for the last 2 weeks, so we really haven't made any movement on that here in the last couple of weeks. But it is a work in progress. When she gets back, we'll get that figured out and which way we want to go with it, who we want to go with, and get that done.
Okay, thank you, Dwayne. I think that, she sent me a copy of one from Rebel River, that's the one you're talking about there.
Yep.
And I think money was an issue that she talked about back in the day, and it's like a max of $4,650 or something on this thing that I have here, which I don't know how you guys feel about that, but our website is really cumbersome as far as trying to find something. I even have trouble finding the agenda form on there, and so it's difficult to do that.
It's hard to even pull it off the web.
Yeah, it is, it's really hard.
I don't know
And
why
so, I too, actually Woody and I met with Logan Labby at the school, and he said it was a good start, it just needs finished up. But where I was heading with that is the next item here is talking about the equipment to do the recording, and there are some statutes that speak to recording and how you have to keep the records, and we've talked about that some here in these meetings in the last little bit. It was suggested that if you had the equipment and you download straight to the website, then people could look there. So they're kind of tied together, the equipment and the website. So I think it's, from my perspective, it's somewhat important that we move on those things and try to be progressive, because just to fill you in, and Julia can help you out, but right now there's, in the last 6 or 7 weeks since we've been coming, Julie, you can help me out here, but you said your hits have almost doubled.
Last week's meeting in 5 days got 215 views in 5 days, and everything previous to that is going up. So almost all meetings are now getting 350 or more views, which I would say is somewhere around 10% or more of our voter base. So it is important.
Yeah. I'm glad
And it's
people are-
going up since I've been doing this because people now know where they can find it and it's always consistently there.
It's good to see an interest from the public. But the recording thing, so you're suggesting that if we record it, then we, store it on the website?
I don't know if I'm the guy to be suggesting, I'm just telling you what I heard.
Yeah, cause I don't know any.
Darren had some conversations with DIS here recently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they said we could store it, the system we're looking into, it's just as basic, we'd mount it and it would plug into the computer with your USB. And you can store it and record it right there, and then
Yep.
files can be moved from area to area. I mean, the issue that I've kind of run in with the website, it's just in the short time I've been here, it's very hard to put stuff on the website.
Right.
I mean,
Because that stuff would have to be stored in perpetuity, like our minutes, right?
well, yes, exactly.
So then
It would have to be
there'd
done
be a
the same
storage
way. It would have-
issue, where would it be
Well-
archived?
I don't know if they weren't
Well-
called official minutes, I don't know if they would have to be stored forever.
Well, I
I
thought you
think
were
they do,
referring to the state statute that
yeah.
Just
Wally
because,
can
just
help us
because
out
they're
with that
recorded?
Probably too, but I think
if the county
probably,
records it, if the county, like,
Then they
if,
are?
if we did
Is
a
that
Zoom
what they're
call and it's live, that's fine, 'cause but if you do a Zoom call and you record it, then you're required to maintain that record of that recording. She got her hand up.
I think Wally told us last time we have to maintain it until it's outdated, is that right, Wally?
Yeah, at least, yeah. It's
Yeah,
also
outdated,
becomes
so-
hard to do it because
What does outdated mean?
outdated means you can't recover it anymore. For example, who can read a floppy disk in the room?
I
George
can,
got that.
thank you, it's my job.
Who can read COBOL, Fortran, or BASIC? Very few people. So what happens is the technology changes, that screws it up. That's the problem.
So we have to maintain it as long as there was a cloud, and if the cloud changed something else, then
Take
Well,
it off, and at the point in time you lose it, yeah, that's the
What
problem.
about a smart stick, Wally, can you download to a smart stick and then just put that in the clerk and recorder's office?
You can, except the problem is, can you get it off the smart stick in 10 years?
Right, but then,
That's the issue.
but then it's not an issue then because it's outdated, right?
Well, yeah, but it shouldn't disappear that way, but they do, because you can't get it, that's the problem. Same problem with burning a courthouse down, that's been a problem in eastern Montana especially. The ones who burned, especially in the back end, have been a real problem. Hard to find records when they burned up in the courthouse. South Pole.
Do you have a question or answer?
You know, I have some information for you.
Okay.
So the YouTube channel, if you have one, can be embedded into the website, into your county website, and it takes no webmaster to update that to the most recent video that's published. So that's a web designer.
Can I interrupt you for just a second? I think we ought to wait till Commissioner Lawler comes back. I think it's terribly rude to get up when somebody's trying to talk and walk back and get a cup of coffee. We have breaks scheduled into this thing, and I think it's just rude.
The second being your hard storage. So to meet the legal requirements for hard storage for your long-term storage into perpetuity can be done. I've been doing that business since 1996, and I still have videos on a small hard drive that goes in a safe, and I can read them from 1996, still to this day, on a computer by plugging it in. So the stick idea is correct, but you're gonna need something much bigger. You never wanna store it on a web page or a website. You guys would have to pay all that storage for that video, which every time you add it gets bigger and bigger, and every time somebody views it, you pay for that storage. That's why you use YouTube. They're paying for your storage, they're paying for your views.
All right.
So,
I didn't mean to just
No,
cut you
no.
off with her comment.
I'm just saying that this is not as hard as it sounds, and it does not take $600 OWL cameras, and it doesn't take a big, huge program. It
Okay,
is,
we'll still be checking into it. I do have one question for Wally before we do away with that. So what makes it, why do we have to store just because we've recorded it?
Generally, you do have to store because you recorded it, because it's a public meeting, and the Constitution of Montana provides that you have a right to observe your government. So if we taped it, the way you observe it is go back and look at the tape. So that's the reason why they say store them if you record it as a public meeting. It's the constitutional right.
They're not the official minutes,
No.
they're just a
Right,
recording
they're
of
stored
that
because you
public
have the
meeting.
right to observe, that's, only Montana has that constitutional right.
Right. Right. Did you get all that, Darren?
I think so. I should, a lot of it.
But to tell you how hard it gets, here's the thing, the articles of organization of the county are supposed to be in the Office of Administration in Helena. About half the counties in Montana are not there. But that's where they're supposed to be by law. So you can call them and get the index, the same with the St. Regis Sewer District, the rural fire district's supposed to be there, 2/3 of those are not there, but they're supposed to be. And a lot of them were filed wrongly at the Secretary of State. So Business Service Bureau has those as a corporation, but it's not actually a corporation, it's an organization. But their number is 444-3665 in Helena. And if they have it there, they'll print a copy. And if neither of them has it, which is a probability, the other place to look is Missoula's archives will have a copy of the Articles of Organization signed by both county commissioners. The county commissioners of the old county, which this was part of Missoula County, will have signed it, and the new commissioners will have signed it, taking it on with the clerk and recorder that was the new clerk then. So that sits in Missoula's archives under 1914, so if we can't find it, I can stop at archives and pick it out and bring a copy, but those are the three places, but we should have a copy in the courthouse, and there should be a copy at the Office of Public Administration in Helena, and there probably isn't, because nobody stored them right, or they got lost, or they got adjusted, or they got burned. But we can find it, and if we don't get it in the next few days, we'll just grab a copy probably from Missoula.
I got one last thing before I go. I was put on the agenda as an action item, and 7 weeks we've been trying to get somebody to take a look at this road issue, and there's not been any movement. So my question is, are you guys gonna assign somebody to look into that, or are you gonna look into it?
Jason, can you look into it?
What's exactly the, we're doing, the Schedule A shared money, is that the question?
No,
I haven't made all this,
the whole thing, somebody has to review the 1965 policy. Somebody has to be able to force us and negotiate that policy going forward. Somebody has to help pick the project, somebody has to help pick the design, somebody has to lay out the bid, somebody has to be involved from day one, according to the agreement.
So what?
And so there's two parts to that, and the other part is that resolution we just talked about there. You know, who's gonna do that, who's gonna put together that? Or are you guys gonna follow the resolution and put together, are we gonna go back to the resolution and follow that in our quarterly meetings so that we know where we're at on roads? And are we gonna post a map like a resolution says? Or are we just gonna bury our head in the sand and just continue to do what we've done?
I don't have a problem having quarterly meetings, we've never had them before, up until you brought this road document up.
Well, the reason I did bring it up is because I've been 3 years trying to get an answer and get something done on our roads in the East End District. That's the reason I bring it up, because I think that if you had that, you would have a reference right in front of you for both Jason and the commissioners to be able to refer to and know if the work's being done.
And I guess if you're asking me for an answer, what I could say is we should look at this resolution and see what we need to do to fulfill it. It might need to be, I don't know if we can amend it or not, 3 months, like in the middle of the winter, everybody knows what we're doing. So maybe it'd be every twice a year. I don't know. We could talk about it. And as far as the Forest Service project, I think the best way to attack that, first, for me, looking at it, would be to have a meeting with Nate and tell him that, if we're gonna do any more of these projects, then they need to come in when they're in on the ground floor and propose them to us, you know, and talk to them, then if we have comments, you know, maybe that would work.
I think we're we're past the stage of doing anything with what's out there now.
Right, yeah, no,
We're
that's
just
all right.
talking about.
For the
down.
But
Because we wanna, I would think we'd wanna continue the program, but we just wanna do it so it's beneficial.
Right, and I would assume that he would, like, as soon as a project comes onto their radar, you know, he could schedule a meeting with us and bring it in and, you know, lay it out for you. You know, tell why it's being done, how it's being funded, what it's like. He'll answer those questions for you. You know, and we can say, I mean, you still have the latitude to say, no, we don't want this one to go through the Schedule A, or you can do it.
You might wanna touch base with Willie, cause he's actually calling Nate this morning, and that's probably why you got a call.
Oh, yeah, he called me yesterday afternoon,
Oh, okay.
I didn't get to it, and I called him back this morning, but yeah, I'm sure Nate would be receptive to being a little more involved with the commission.
And do we want Willie working with you on that? I mean, I think that's probably also a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, he is the
if Willie
resource
was gonna
officer.
represent Mineral County
Yeah.
at that stage of the project, because I don't have access, I mean, I'm never involved in the logging, scoping, or, I don't even know when that goes down, I don't meet with the Forest Service, I don't meet with those
Right.
guys, so even the EPA, we talk about the EPA projects, I'm not involved with that, I've never been involved with it, you know. we're
Well,
all-
we should have somebody
But if
involved.
somebody at that stage was meeting with them, representing us, and then, you know, talking to me, yeah, we could, I mean, I guess I'm not opposed to it. Because there's, like Ken says, there's a lot of projects, all these logging projects, I don't know what logging projects are in the pipe, you know, I don't know what projects Nate's planning for 2024. So, yeah, however you guys wanna attack that, I guess. I don't know what this Willie's, I don't even know if he's interested or what his scope is. to be honest
Well,
with you.
he could be assigned that. That is, his agreement with us said, you know, we had a list of things there that he was to work on,
If he's willing-
and
if-
whatever else the commissioner is assigned.
If he was willing to be involved in that scoping side of that stuff, you know, in the really, really early stages, to me, it could, you know, be nothing but a benefit to us.
Yeah.
Just as a comment, you know, we just added 2 things to Jason's plate if we give him this one, or if we give him this one. And he's already plenty busy doing what he's doing.
Well, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
like I
I
said,
agree.
I don't know if I have time, you know, I don't really have time to go to meetings and try to make phone calls, and
Yeah, and
it's
I
a
realize,
lot.
I realize.
And I'm not in that circle, right, so I know they were talking about the cooperator agreement or whatever, so that puts us in that circle. And then if you have somebody at that level to meet with those guys, that's a good thing. I do have a full plate, I mean, I'm not only running the crew and figuring out what we're doing, but I also work.
Yeah, the Forest Service thing is one topic, but back to the road one, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I've talked to you, Jason, about the roads, and if you need more equipment and all that, I think it'd be a good idea to have more frequent meetings with you, quarterly or whatever, just, and to see what's planned for when spring breakup occurs, where you're gonna be working, what roads, so that we can be more aware, because otherwise it's kinda like, on occasion when we see you, I'll ask you, how's it going with this road or
No,
that road?
and we can, I'm, whatever you wanna do there, I'm fine, you know, what we talk about, like, right now, we're in January, you know, you can ask me what I'm gonna do this summer, and I can't tell you exactly, because one thing I don't call till spring to get my oil prices, my gypsum prices, I don't know what the weather's gonna bring as far as, you talk about breakup, I don't know what roads are gonna fall, I mean, I know we have a few projects in the pipe, for sure.
But, well, how about ditches, those could be scheduled.
Yeah, you're right. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to having quarterly meetings or whatever you wanna do.
Okay,
I do think we should, you know,
that would be.
this
my
1965
resolution.
agreement comes up with Schedule A. I think that should be looked at, maybe it needs to be updated to today's standards.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've never seen that, so.
Maybe Nate, we should have a meeting with Nate and get some of that stuff. better understood.
Well, I think it was done
You
in
wanna-
1965, there was probably some chit chat, after 1965, it was just done, you know, and then the county just did it, and it got handed off from one road foreman to the next road foreman to the next road foreman, and you just continue, right? So,
Do you wanna set up a meeting with him then
In
and let us
Nate?
get back to us? and-
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can call him today.
okay. And then I think the other question that Ken had was the designated person to manage the proposed road plan for the first quarter. So we wanna make Willie that person?
And that the road plan, as far as managed road plan, is, that's the scoping side of what's going on, is that correct?
Well, no, I was thinking the quarterly meetings.
Oh, okay, I guess I read that wrong.
No, I was thinking the first one where, the Schedule A one, where you're laying out projects, I think, like Jason explained, that would be better if somebody like Willie, who follows that, is involved, and maybe Jason as well, if you have time, because somebody has to do it after Willie's gonna
Yeah.
retires or whatever, but Willie certainly has that knowledge right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
where Jason has the knowledge on the quarterly stuff.
so I think what we need to do is, if you agree, to designate him to be that person.
Well, yeah, he's
It's kind of
already,
hard to designate it when he doesn't have a contract yet, well,
I just
Yeah.
entered into the contract.
when will you have that done, Wally, so we can,
Well, if I get it done this afternoon, I'll have it today, and I'll finish it Monday.
So you need to add in that scoping
to his job description?
to that. Yeah, if that was the case, you know.
The road plan is what I call it. That seems like what it is.
Okay,
With the Forest Service
Yeah.
or EPA.
so that would be kind of included in this
Yeah,
contract?
it's a resource use, it's a resource use plan.
Okay. Yes, if you please, expedite, counselor.
Yeah. We get through today first, and then we can.
And as far as the road 3-month quarterly stuff, you know, I'll just make sure we get that on the.
Yeah, well, like, you know, it's when's the end of your?
I'm gonna shoot for, I'll try to get Nate in for mid-March, because that'll be a good time for him to start talking about some stuff. We'll see when he's available, but.
And then you could give us a little update
Yep.
quarterly from you. and
Because I'll have a
You're
better
here.
idea of where we're sitting.
Okay, Mark, yeah, and that's 3 months, and then we can do another one in June,
do we want to make a motion to designate Willie to manage?
and then, do we need to talk to him, make sure he's agreeable to that, or do we just throw it at him?
Well, I think that
I haven't talked
would
to
be
him.
part of that job, I mean, and then it said whatever
Okay, I just don't,
commissioners assign.
I can tell you Willie's comment to me, is I think this should be on that list.
oh, okay, I just wanna make sure we're not,
No, I think he's.
Including him in this.
I don't wanna speak for him, but he did tell me that.
and I'd call him now, but I think he's over at the Forest Service. Probably can't take the call. Yeah, the Schedule A portion for sure. So I move that we include in Mr. Peck's contract as a resource manager for Mineral County, the additional task of road scoping, huh?
Road scoping management?
Yeah, there you go, road scoping management.
I would second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Maybe in that March meeting, we can sit down and look at that 1965 agreement with Schedule A, and, you know, done in 1965, maybe we need to make some amendments or adjustments to it, you know, if Nate's coming in, so that'd be a good time to maybe make it 2023.
Yeah, something more
I
modern.
don't know if that's a perpetual, like I said, I've never seen it, so I don't know if it's
Yeah,
an agreement in perpetual.
Perpetuity.
Perpetuity, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, all right, good idea.
Not saying we bid and you get 6 months, no bid give you 50%.
Anything else, Ken?
I'm done, Dwayne, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, that finishes our discussion. Our next item is at 11:10.
What's Kathy doing?
Hey, Mike, just my minor question. So, with this project.
How are you doing?
So, that was all county money. So that money goes to the county, so the federal rules for first clauses are not involved. Because what it says, what I'm thinking is somebody right over.
Yeah.
So they can,
We can ask, yeah.
that's the problem.
Oh, well, they do it to crushing. Well, yeah.
He don't have a question, so he did want that. You know, but so in the future, there's things you can do, excuse me, if there does not count as evil, instead of, so instead of saying the bid will be awarded to the lowest responsible bidder, you can say the bid will be set. With the so they say 50%, you'll get 10, we'll give you 5,000.
She's the one. I know, she's really fast to say that.
Based on,
Same thing, same thing as the schedule, maybe it needs to be amended.
so there's other
Because it's
things,
different times.
like you want to know how to excuse these things. And if it's legal and you're doing it at home.
We were just surprised.
Design the two that he had because glaucoma had to be removed because it was getting exposed.
And they had a,
There's probably one.
yeah, there was so nice and red. But I, so, I was thinking,
Well, yeah,
yes, John, do you want to
because
read,
it
you know?
took a while because they didn't want to do anything basically
Just to get us some.
completed something like that design. This one has been stabilized. No problem until this infection.
Right, and that's just part of it.
Now,
But I mean, you
it,
get some, looking at this.
they had, yeah, the infection is affected to both eyes. You know, the way it came, so they had to remove the
Everything you
tube, they put it and
Between
because it was
Carl
partially
Tyler,
exposed, I guess, from things and over time, it's been a few years. And so they.
No, I got it. But I was like, because I'm gonna.
Now,
So I didn't know if somebody's melting on.
Well,
Yeah.
start to get water on it, so I
all the garbage is in there.
Clean it out, right?
get good layers of it in the trees, they're good.
And finally they got that.
Yeah, I would put the tree down.
We're gonna, we're planning to transfer, we're planning on.
They shipped it around. She got rid in the meantime. She got rid of it.
Probably go make the same road, just go there.
Okay, but it's been 2.5 months of rubbish. Finally, they called me, asked me to go.
At this point,
You know, the big deal was over the BW parts, BW parts, that was like they used every, you know, and he said it'll be in good shape and it'll be a
He's
fun.
just, he took me in yesterday, and
You
he
get
had to
your
go
car
in
and you haven't
Monday,
seen
but
it
then
in
as
6
long as I
months.
can get it,
we wrote up a lease agreement with you guys.
Yeah, well, and then you throw a salesman in there, the guy that sold us it, and he was different. Well, he was gonna give us a big tree, and I could give you more, look, it's in the body shop. Yeah, Jesus. I just don't know what you know, we can keep this in, but it's not until it's got a little diesel in it, so it gets fantastic.
Oh, you can't have it, so I'm calling
No, that's a good, will you send me something on paper that kind of
I
illustrates
was trying to
that?
remember one of the last bids we did, and I actually think it was not, it was on the resident, it was on a tribal project.
Yeah, that guy was real receptive.
And they based that, and it got quite common towards the end that they would base all their bids, not just on low bid. And see, they were having problems before, because they're just a low bid thing, they have the right to reject it. You know, they can say it was too cheap, you can't do it for that, we don't want any lower than that. But the real problem then is.
It's probably gonna get worse.
You're gonna prove that my bid was wrong and I'm not cable, you know? So when they're just a little bit gets it. But I think here in this county, we gotta do everything we can to keep people here. And that's still, when I look at that,
And that was the whole get-go for, you know, he said, beside us, and agreed that that was a good idea. You know, but, yeah, we overlooked some stuff.
well, it's a lot of work. I do not There's too much work to be done. You come in here once a week, we use your whole time, we're not here.
Yeah.
See, guys.
All right, thanks.
How do you do with Kenny discussion? Where's your time? I think it needs to be a full-time job, and if it was a full-time job, then you're gonna be held feet to the fire by Kenny. Where you can get things done, and there's ways to bring money in. I mean, what is your budget? I'm gonna go get ballpark. So to change it from part to 4 billion, we're looking at 2%. Well, I think we can find it.
Yeah, it's me, I'm not sure that we can.
Yeah.
That might be well, I know it is voted on every 10 years, if that's how you wanna do it, and I don't. Even if you're three quarters of it.
You do, there's no way. I end up working 60 hours a week.
It's been a better part
I know. All right, well, hey, good.
Yeah, pretty good. So I got it all, I just need to sign a format.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to help you.
Yeah, I hear you.
There was people working on it.
I'll come as soon as I can.
I'm just sitting there.
But yeah, you were on TV the other day, and you were on the computer.
And it was giant party. He was talking about this, Forest Service worker or something. And he had, I don't know how many $1 million, some federal, some state, they're gonna do all this for creating roads for recreation, campgrounds and stuff. Oh, they awarded it. They didn't even mention it. Did anybody even tell us? Why, I mean, you're pretty good. Pretty good. How are you?
Some of those take grant matching too, you know, sometimes that's part of the.
I think this was state money, because they're talking about giving back $2,000.
Maybe the safety.
Oh,
Do they realize that most of the surplus is COVID money?
Yeah, I should,
I'm not gonna get no more of that.
They
just to
do.
get some of the feel that's gonna go on with it, so.
Hey,
How you doing?
good.
Miss Miller, how you doing?
I'm gonna come here, you really don't wanna know how I'm doing.
How were the roads, girl?
Oh, slushy.
So you don't think we're in here yet?
Yeah, I was looking outside today, looking at the skylights, looking to see how thick the ice was, and it was actually 34 degrees up in our end.
It is
37 degrees is good when I got
killer.
Oh, it's not gonna snow.
It
Well,
didn't.
the weather map said it was snowing like crazy, but I thought for sure it'd be an inch of ice, but it was so warm.
It's so warm, yeah. Yesterday, at
I'm blaming it all
Queens,
on
it was 44 degrees. 44 degrees at Queens. What's up with that? And then 5 miles down the road, there's 37.
I've never seen an inversion like this before. I've lived in the mountains all my life, and I've never seen where it's warmer on the top of Lookout than it is in St. Regis.
St. Regis seems to be basin. Everything seems to be dumping, and it comes up, just barely clears the mountain, and then boom. From the west end back, yes, yeah. It really is, it's
Well,
definitely.
it's unusual. I've lived in the mountains all my life. I've grown up at 5,000 foot elevation. I've never seen anything like this.
No, I'm serious.
I've been here, Ricky and I've been in our same house 47 years. That takes me back a long ways. I was pretty young.
And you didn't know any better, right?
No, it was a place to raise my kids, and, you know, I had a good job working for the railroad at that time.
At that time here, it was a good place to be.
I did almost 23 years on the
6 years in the school.
How'd you get out of the railroad? You still got all your fingers.
There's like something.
I've done all mine too.
No, railroad.
I know.
You don't get to the front of the railroad.
Yeah, you do, I did.
Yeah, but
They
it-
put me on long-term disability.
That's the only
And
way
then
to
they
get out.
retired.
And usually guys have to take toes or fingers for that.
Yeah, Rufus, they took bones out. Got 2 knees, 2 back surgeries. I told him, you're in my body, but you're not in my brain.
That's what counts. Truth is.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah, I
But
see.
if you sit and don't do nothing, you're fine. You know, because the people that do the work,
It's, you know, it's the people that don't know how to do the job are telling the people how to do the job.
I already told him that.
Council or whatever it is up there in the Yaak County Wilderness.
Oh, God, yes.
They come out of college and they don't have a clue. They're out in the woods for years.
Did you ever read,
Infection in his eyes and he had eye surgery the other day.
okay, but that,
He had, the tube removed.
many years ago when I was mayor here, letter, all
They've been dealing
the
with
papers
it
from
for weeks and
the Western United and they said, it's called the
they're
Basic
telling me an
Biological
appointment now.
Ecosystem. Take a look.
Yeah.
I said, you guys were sleeping through
No, they didn't.
the worst part is coming.
The one
I said,
right now.
nobody's aware of it.
Infection
I
clears up right now.
had one representative from Washington, oh, it's a he says, for once, somebody understands what the hell's going on.
And he was probably voted out of office next
Yeah,
election.
and I got a lot of hate, no, just go on. I felt right at home. Yeah, I tried to pass a force, I sent force bills to, that when, you know, it takes only $1 to sale. So I sent a resolution to the federal government and to Congress, and them to write a bill for state, if you're going to protest the sale, then it's gonna cost you as much as it costs for the contractor to go in to get the sale. Oh, I got shut down by my own people.
Now look at what the activists that act like they're with conservation, but they're not.
You know, the best guys know how the forest works.
That's where I come from. My family was loggers in Washington State before BLM existed.
I worked for, it was, the timber company. I worked Mount Rainier. And then we were doing surround out there and clearing out. And stuff that's there. And that's when I knew that the shit started to hit the fan.
I grew up in eastern Washington in Conroe County.
Oh, yeah.
And when the Bureau of Land Management came in, we lost everything. We lost everything. And in the end, now, Conroe County is 96% Forest Service or BLM, but we now have active DOD bases.
Yeah.
Which is, they're trained, I don't know if you realize this, they train border agents up there on the border.
It even gets worse. You and I need to talk.
This, like on the seventh.
Yes, please let me know.
Before it was between that, the mouse and your GIS and the plan. But we decided which
You're good.
I know.
Really scan it.
We're ready to go.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep a copy of that too.
Okay, call the meeting to order, and the next item on the agenda is, where are you?
It's Diana.
You on the other page?
Let's go.
Candace Hampton, Michelle Farnsworth has submitted a road name change.
We're ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, one more before that. It's Diane McGowan first and then.
Oh, you're talking
Sorry.
that one. Oh,
I will
okay.
cut.
Sorry. I apologize.
I was just getting set up already.
Diane McGowan first.
You ready for me?
I am.
Okay, I'm
I
Diane
was so
McDonald.
confused, sorry.
Yes. You didn't know who I was standing here. Chair of the Montana, or the Mineral County Montana Rails to Trails group, and we are in the process of submitting a grant, an FWP grant, trail stewardship grant to FWP, and have requested a letter of support from Mineral County. And it's all written, and you have it in front of you, and we just need it signed, sealed, and delivered. And if there's any questions about the project, one thing that has happened that's really exciting is this project is actually kind of a joint project between the NRC, the Austins with their strip of railroad land, our group, Rails to Trails, and also the Mineral County Recreation Club has come on, Drew Hansen with his group to help provide maintenance. So it's an exciting coalition of people.
Yeah, and so for
Or
people
groups.
that aren't aware that this is specific, this grant is specific for a piece of Mineral County where it's difficult for bicyclists and walkers to connect, to make a connection. So in specific, the area geographically is between Crystal Springs and Tarkio. And the Austin family is willing to let their land be used for this, and FWP is providing the funding to make this trail connect through.
Hopefully, that's what I'm
So then
asking.
when people are on their bike and they're going down Old Highway 10 and then they jump off at Sear and they're on Old Highway 10, now they can go to Crystal Springs and stay off of the interstate, avoid those bridges that are, there's several, and the one's over the highway, one's over the river, one's over the railroad. So yeah, it's,
And then it connects, it comes down off into and go into the Tarkio exit.
and then
come on
they can get
into
back
town.
on Old 10 and continue to ride without being on the interstate, so.
And I wanted, that was a good synopsis, but I want to tell you, I stopped and took a picture of one of those narrow bridges. And I'd heard a story about you, so I thought about you when I was there.
Yeah,
Somebody getting in trouble for being on one of those narrow bridges.
you know, I used to jump into the river often when I was a kid, or which one you?
I'm gonna tell Liz
Oh,
that.
well, tell me, okay, tell me in the hall.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, so yeah, it is so narrow. I mean, the shoulder, I thought maybe it was a foot. I don't even think it's that narrow, it's that wide. So they're
Okay.
scary bridges.
Yeah,
So from a safety perspective, and then also, you mentioned the Austin
yeah.
piece of the railroad bed. There'll be two connecting trails that come down to the main trail that could make it form a scenic loop, and that will be available for day use for people, you know, our not only our residents, but people coming through the county. So hopefully we'll draw in more people too from an economic standpoint.
And it'll be open to all the public. The Austin Loop.
Well, not all the public, it's non-motorized.
Well, yeah, but,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But, so
And dogs, as long as they're controlled, horses.
I'll just read a little portion of your paragraph.
Okay.
The Austin Loop, a section of the Old Milwaukee Railroad, will be available for day hikes, picnics, and other family activities while showcasing an amazing overlook of the river below. Because of the nature of the trails and the addition of an ADA-approved porta potty, the area will be accessible to those with physical disabilities and the elderly. So this project will be good for our area and our citizens. It provides a convenient area to exercise and recreate, a safe alternative other than I-90 for the non-motorized bicycles, non-motorized traffic, a look at the history of the area with interpretive signage, an opportunity to view wildlife, a view of the beautiful Clark Fork River and the canyon, and a boost to our local economy. As the Commissioners for Mineral County, we wholeheartedly support this effort and hope that FWP will approve the funding necessary to allow for completion of this project. Mr. Simons, I hereby move that we send this letter of support to the NRC, Fish and Game, other stakeholders in this project, and I move that we sign it.
All right,
And if
I
you
would
could just-
second that motion.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So if you could just, Darren, you can fax it to me, I'll just include it in our packet.
Okay.
Monday morning, hopefully.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Right on time today. All right, next item on the agenda is Candace Hampton and Michelle Farnsworth has submitted a road name change form for a portion of Iron Mountain Heights Road. Need commissioners to grant approval of the request to change the name of a portion of Iron Mountain Heights to L.
That's Shadow.
Okay, Lane, action item.
Yes, so our department received a road name change request, which you can see out there. Michelle is desiring to change her portion of Iron Mountain Heights. She's up at the very end. It kind of dead ends into her property, I think. So, I don't know if everybody's familiar with where this is at. The town pump is down in here. You go over the railroad tracks. This is all Iron Mountain Heights. And it just kind of dead ends right here. So 269 Iron Mountain Heights is Michelle Farnsworth. That's her address, her house. And then all of this is her property as well.
So this square is owned by the same person that owned all of it.
Yes, and that's Michelle's property.
So Iron Mountain Road would just end at your property line, and this would include your current driveway? It would all have the same name?
It's just our driveway area is where it is, because as you're coming across the railroad tracks, you're going up the road, you're taking a little jaunt to the very end, pretty much, and our road meets from the house, alongside the house.
Right here?
You look like you're off a little bit there. I think it goes. Wait, excuse me.
Yeah, the lines may be off a little
Yeah,
bit.
you're off.
Sometimes these maps.
Oh.
Yeah.
Off a little bit.
Let me, go ahead. You're seeing here because I just got the map. Okay, this is the house, which is this one.
269.
Yeah, okay. So where the road is coming, clear from Iron Mountain Heights, where it turns across and goes across the railroad tracks, there's a road that comes up here. This road here turns on our property. Part of our road is here, but we're not wanting to rename that part. We leave it as it is.
Where would it be?
It just as it turns onto the property
okay.
itself here, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so
Where the
you want
house
it
is.
So you're
marked right
proposing-
here. You actually want it there.
You want it to change right here?
If that's where the house is at,
Yeah.
yes.
Where it's.
So it would
right.
say Iron Mountain all the way onto
Right,
your
all the way
property a
here,
little bit?
yeah. And then we just take it right here across the house, which goes up to the top of our mountain.
Okay, so that would
That
be
whole
to your
thing
house
would be-
and to your,
And it goes up our whole mountain, up there. And that's the only thing we're wanting to change. We still want to keep the legacy of Iron Mountain, okay? Because there's a wonderful history about the story of Iron Mountain. And that kind of enriches the promise that we have received on that. El Shaddai means God is my provider. And there's a history for us on that mountain of one miracle after another. See, we have no family here in Montana at all. And yet, this is where we believe God called us to. And He provided one miracle after another to get us here. And when we first come here and we looked at the property, the realtor, a couple of years before my husband flew here to look at some land, and they did not find anything that met our needs. And so what ended up happening is the realtors quit talking to us. And then we heard the Lord speak and minister to us to pack up things, and we were gonna be going up here to find our property. And what ended up happening is one of the realtors we had found remembered us and had given me a stack of papers of property and listings here. This property was labeled #1 choice. There was another property that was named #2 choice, and the others were yes, no, yes, no. She happened to take us to the second choice, and she had begun to say, well, should I cancel the appointment? And I said, no, I have to see that property. I knew in my heart, the minute we stepped on that property, that that was the land that God had for us. In spite of all that, we ended up having to face a shooting over there at the town pump when we came down. High-speed chase from another piece of property that we wanted to see that was self-sustaining around the mountain. And people came to us and says, why would you want to stop here? I says, because this is where God's put us. And we believe that because God had provided one thing after another. And like I said, paid for the property and did miraculous things. And because the name El Shaddai, which is God, is our provider, we felt that was very fitting for the road. God is the provider of what we have received and the blessings. And we have fallen in love with this town, even though someone said to us, well, how do you like it here when we first moved here at the Durangos? And I says, we love it. We love the small lifestyle, simplicity. He says, that's great. He says, but if you try to change us, get the hell out. And that was our greeting. I like the bluntness and the straightforwardness of the people. The history that people know so much about the state and are so proud of the state. And every time I walked on that land, I was just always in awe. The video we took was, oh, I can't believe, 81 acres at first, it's now 91 acres. But all I was in awe, and when I got up at the top of the mountain, we saw the whole town, and I just heard the Lord said, I love these people. And we have fallen in love with the people here. Montana is a wonderful place to live. Slow, and if you have to get things done, and they say what day, ask them what year. That's pretty much it. You don't move people fast here. You either adapt to it and fall in love with it, or like I said, get the heck out. So that's a little bit of the history of the joy that we feel and the beauty of this state. I have been here now almost 20 years. And every time I take a trip, whichever direction I go, all I can see is, this is truly God's country.
I have a question for Mr. Short and Candace. Have you or your office received any opposition to this request?
No.
It doesn't really affect anybody either, because
No, it's not.
it would begin at her land, her driveway. And if this is granted, currently your address shows there as 269 Iron Mountain.
Yes, sir.
So that might also change her address number, Andy, is that correct? If there was a new road?
It won't change the number, it will still be 269.
Well, we don't know that.
Oh, we don't know, that's true.
Yeah, a gentleman contracts with us that does our addressing, and it's based on E911. It has to do with like distances from intersections, so I don't know that just sitting here.
Yeah, it sounded like by talking to Matt that it would probably change. The number would change.
The number could change. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
And the numbers up at the tower would change too.
That number will change, yeah, they're on our land, so we just notify them of that number change. That's
Yeah, the
it.
property has a cell phone tower
On it.
located up at the top. And it's on her property, I believe they lease.
Yeah, 60 feet square that they have on the very top, that they're leasing from us.
Yeah, and I did receive a phone call from Dawn, and she questioned it, wanted to know what was going on, had concerns that the whole road would be changed, and I explained to her that it was just
Beyond everybody else?
beyond everyone, and then she seemed okay with it, but she was afraid that whole Iron Mountain Heights road name was gonna change.
Yeah.
Let her know that it was just on your property.
So, yeah, and then, so then also, if there's a new road name, then you would be responsible for buying the new sign, so that Mineral County.
Yes, we were already asked.
And there's like requirements, some signs have to be green and white, some are black.
Whatever
So the
you
Department of
say,
Transportation
yeah.
requirement, yeah. So you're willing to,
Yes,
to do that?
that's not a problem.
And then,
That's a condition we had on there too, what's up there too,
Yeah.
but it's just that we need to have that sign installed, ordered, installed, and then notify that it's been installed.
it has to be there before we can actually complete the name change, so people won't say, yeah, I'll get the sign, and 5 years go by and they haven't.
No, she's told us already what the price of the sign was, and we were gonna order the
Okay.
sign and get that taken care of.
Well, Mr. Chair of the day, given that there's been no opposition from anybody else, given that it only affects the parties involved land, their driveway, and their property, and given that they're willing to pay for the sign and accept any number, address change, should it also be forthcoming, I move that we grant the name change for Ms. Farnsworth from Iron Mountain Heights Road, where she lives, to El Shaddai.
El Shaddai.
Okay, I would second that motion.
And I'll make sure we get it,
Go ahead, no, go
I'll
ahead.
make sure that we get that straightened up with where it starts. Right
Oh,
past
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. You're a good speech giver. Tell Andy he's not much talk.
Change your mind now that I'm screwing things up here.
Now you blew our TV up, and you ruined their phone.
It doesn't look like there's power to it.
I know.
Okay, there should be another.
Oh, there should be another course?
Did you give us a call to let us know to come back down here, or what?
We can, do you wanna pay for that today? And get the sign ordered today for your room?
That's fine.
We can go right up now.
Whatever's easiest for you. We can always come back. I mean, it's not like we live that far.
Yeah, I will give you a call, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Next
give me a
week,
call.
I'll get it all squared away, and then we can just have you.
That sounds,
Get the sign ordered.
sounds great.
Yeah, the number.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Public comment, well, 3 minutes.
So there's a little black.
There should, yeah, probably the power cord.
But I don't see anything. What's this?
Playground, flags and signs.
That one's too big.
Yeah, did you already do that?
That's what we need, is something like that.
Yes, with that,
I wonder how long, we can cut it, maybe calls it, I wonder how long it has to be.
It was working last
It's a
week.
round one, huh?
Was it?
Yeah, you guys used it last week.
What?
The phone.
Canvas. Was it a round one or a square one?
round. Well, I think if it's,
That's a little,
The power is 10-volt round.
little, it's the little guy.
yeah. I don't know what you want me to take away.
Somebody's got it.
I do not need you.
I didn't read it, I just read it. I don't know, but it's on my desk.
So that,
What are you gonna do this weekend?
I'm gonna go to Missoula and help my brother move.
You got to spend the night.
Yeah, well, I actually had to tell you, get in town.
So you got all this beer, you got work.
Yeah, get some food somewhere in Missoula. I like going to
Good place to eat.
every once in a while. It's been a while since I've been there. Geez, I don't think I've been to Missoula
So,
at least a month. I know, I just haven't. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Albert.
We'll keep an eye out.
Are you trying to call somebody?
Yeah, that's kind of.
We're gonna send
All
you,
stressed out.
we'll send you.
I used to live.
My fault. Excuse me.
Where did you hail from?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Is it our sign piece?
So that's, I was about 10, I guess. 11, about 10.
I would rather go for your sign people.
I like those sneakers there, girl.
On the highway.
Goes run fast in those candy.
Who doesn't well at state prison?
They're very comfortable.
You're Johnny Candy, you're dressed in black. Dressed in black.
Johnny Cash, but New York.
The state
What?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I did
All
not
right,
know
it's
that.
11:30. Next thing on the agenda is public comment. Does anyone have any public comment? Dan?
Hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Good.
Good.
Hey, I'm here representing the car show. We just want to make sure we can have permission to use the courthouse lawn again like we've done the last few years.
Yeah, we we want to encourage that, we just ask that you get with Norm, the maintenance man.
Obviously.
A given, okay, just want to make sure that, so we have those underground.
No, yeah, I'll work with Norm, make sure that we don't park where we shouldn't
Yeah.
and don't break what we shouldn't and all that good stuff.
What's the date on it then?
June 3rd.
June 3rd?
Yeah, first Saturday in June always.
Sounds good.
All approved?
Yep.
Awesome. That was easy. Thanks, guys.
We kind of just consider that, what do you call it,
Done deal.
collateral business or, not collateral, but yeah, it's something we do every year and we appreciate the heads up, but yeah, granted, typically. It's consensual business administrative.
Consensual, yeah, I like
Yes,
the word
okay.
consensual. You guys have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How are you?
Jerry, you gotta come to the podium, Jerry.
I guess everybody, Jerry, Dr. St. Regis Fire Chief. In light of situations that have happened in Mineral County in the last couple of weeks with our DES coordinator, I'm here to ask that, I've asked Mr. Gupton to come back as an interim DES coordinator for Mineral County. I think it should be something, I don't know where Lori, how she stands, how her medical situation is. But I'm just recommending that George be reappointed as an interim DES coordinator for Mineral County.
How does Mr. Gupton feel about that suggestion?
That would be all right. I told Lori when I left that if she needed help, or the county did, to let me know, and I would be a little rusty. It's been, 4 years since I departed the position, but I talked to Jerry a little bit, and he can kind of point me to where things are. I would need to look at the emergency operations plan, which I understand needs a little help anyhow, and get acquainted with the state district rep, and get up to speed on the reporting procedures and coordination with the state. But I suppose some sort of reappointment or whatever, just so that I do have an official capacity, would be good. And if you're agreeable, I understand you said that all the stuff was here somewhere, what records and such you have?
I'm assuming, I don't know for sure if Lori's computer is her own computer or if it's a county computer. I think she keeps everything in the back hall, in the back room here in the
Yeah.
closet. That's something we have to coordinate with Lori. I mean, I'm not trying to take her job or nothing from her, but I mean, just in
I'm not
the
either,
situation.
but,
No.
you do run into, things tend to go sideways all at the same time. If she's out of commission and you don't have the coordination with the state and counting with you guys, it could be a bad day. So I'd be willing to step in and do that
Okay.
if that's something you'd want.
Yeah, I went in and visited her earlier in the week at the hospital, and at that point, she wanted to tender a resignation. She wanted to give it to me verbally. Obviously, she was a little place to type on a computer or sign it. And then she decided, and she probably worried about putting a burden on other people. She said, well, let me see how my progress is for the next couple of days, and then I'll decide whether I really want to officially submit it. So I have it on my list today to call her or her daughter and see where they stand, but in the interim, we certainly are gonna probably need somebody, and I'll talk to her about what either one of you guys wanted to be appointed, because she might actually want to fully resign, so we gotta think about that as well.
We do have a meeting coming up the first Thursday as well.
Okay.
Short.
LEPC?
Short note, yes, LEPC and Fire Board.
Okay.
First Thursday?
Yes.
First Thursday of this month, yeah, it'll be February,
And it's 3
February 2nd.
Yeah, we'd have to have it on the agenda. I mean, this is good to know, but yeah, we'll have to, if you want it to be official, we'll have to put it on the agenda and make it official with an appointment, or whether it be interim or whether it be forever, I don't know.
It all depends on Lori. I mean, like I said, I don't know if you guys, I stepped down as assistant DES at the last meeting, so I have no
Inclination?
Yeah.
No desire?
Well, it's the desire I may ask for. I mean, it depends where we go. I mean, George knows, I don't know the total inner workings of it all,
I mean, that's why, and George is, I think he's our person that knows everything. I mean,
Yeah.
knows mostly about what needs to be done. I mean, I've worked with Audrey quite a bit on
Oh,
stuff, but I don't know the total ins and outs of it.
And I did have a call from Audrey this morning, Jerry.
Okay.
Thank you for talking to her. She said if there's anything she can help with, and she'll look on the items we had talked about and see where they're at, and if they're in place, and if they're not, she'll get them to us.
Okay.
And take care of that, so.
And Jerry, you're still, I mean, as fire chief still, there might be possibility that you can wear both hats, you know? You're out on those scenes, if it's a hazardous material spill, you're on the fire, if we have a raging fire. Some of that dovetails right into what you're currently doing. If you wanna give it some thought, if Lori does resign permanently, then we have George as a guidance counselor for you. But we also they have classes in schools at the state level that can bring you up to speed quickly, because frankly, what you're saying now is exactly what Lori Dove said when she applied. She felt a little bit uncertain, but they'll help you, and hopefully we don't have any major floods or whatever.
Right.
That's basically what it is those big disasters you get to be involved in, and the only ones we've had recently have been fires, and you're around those fire camps with those updates and those strategizing meetings anyway, most of the time.
Right, and I have been, like I said, I have been in that, but like I said, it's whether I wanna take on another hat.
It's, I talked to Jerry about this when I was resigning before. I had a lot of other things I wanted to do, and there is a slight problem sometimes with the fire chief or the sheriff or whatever. The coordinator doesn't go out and do like Jerry does. And if there's a incident, even if it's just a single incident like a fire, there he'd be okay. But even there, he and the other fire departments are separate entities, and there could be some conflict there. Normally what you want in a coordinator is not someone that goes out on the same. It took me a couple of years when I first took this position to understand this. The coordinator is not a responder. The coordinator is the one who tries to keep all the responders acquainted with each other, familiar with each other, working together, and see that they have the resources they need to do the job. And that, if you're wearing both hats, what's Jerry gonna do if he's out under a truck they're trying to pick up with hazmat and something else happens? It can be a problem sometimes. I was telling Roman before, I know of one county where the sheriff was the coordinator. He was also the coroner, the sheriff DES coordinator, and fire warden. And in his county, I noticed his patrol vehicle had more fencing equipment in it than anything else. He said, yeah, when we have fires, I gotta fix the fences after we go through them. But I think the whole county had a population of like 5 people or something. So that works in a case like that. But in a case like this where you have a lot of moving parts, my background in fire on the fire teams was logistics. And that's mainly what your coordinator is someone who, okay, they're taking care of this, who's gonna take care of that, and what do you need to be successful in your mission? It's the thing there. So although I think Jerry would be good at it, I think he would almost have to not be fire chief in St. Regis.
Oh, you're shooting down my idea, aren't you?
Huh?
Are you shooting down my idea?
A little bit.
Okay.
It would probably work in this case. When I first started doing this in the mid-70s, it was John Jackman as deputy civil defense director. It was
I
sort of
remember
different
him. He had a
organization
cane,
then.
yeah.
And he worked with him for years. John was the fire chief in Superior, the civil defense director, later DES coordinator, and it worked fine. Things get more complicated as you go along. He kept it until he couldn't function in it anymore. He asked me if I would be interested, so I took it at that time. And it's a little bit like
fire and law enforcement and so forth, in that it's 99% boredom and 1%, oh my God, what do we do now?
Feast or famine, huh?
Yeah, you need someone in the position, and we tried, when Lori was appointed, we tried very hard, and we got 3 qualified applicants. But the other 2, one of them wasn't sure if they'd stay even a year, and the other one was on an incident management team that worked with the Forest Service. And my question was, okay, if you get called to go to your incident management team, are you gonna go to that, or are you gonna do stay here in case you're needed by the county? And I could tell by his expression that his answer was about the same mine would have been. I'm going with the team. So that's why we settled on Lori. We knew her, we knew she'd be available. She had some experience here, knew everybody. So you need someone that's free to do the job. And it's very hard to find someone with the necessary training that you're talking about, which the state will give you, willing to devote that amount of time to it for the amount of money that the county can pay. I think in Missoula County, I'm not sure, but Adrian's salary is probably $50,000 to $70,000 a year. And she has about 4 or 5 people on her staff that make good money too. So finding someone of that type, when you're paying them, for all practical purposes, the expenses, is a little tough. But I'm sure there's somebody out there, you just gotta look long enough and hard enough, and if you need someone who can possibly fill in, give me a shout.
I just want to say, I recommend, welcome back, George.
Okay.
And thank you for your offer, George.
Okay, we'll talk, I'll talk to Lori today, and then we will put it on the agenda if that's what we need to do, and for sure, as interim, for sure, I'll put it on the agenda.
Thank you. Thanks, George. Thank you.
Any more public comment? Oops. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a couple suggestions and a few things to say. Number one is, I'm noticing a lot, I've been coming here several months, and I'm noticing a lot of things that aren't getting followed through with. Things that have been put on the back burner or just forgotten about that should have been taken care of, ordinances and things like this that was brought up a while back. One thing I would like to see possibly, and I'm not trying to tell you how to run your meetings, is possibly at the start of the meetings, before the agenda items, maybe go over the minutes from the prior weekend, of the prior week, like most meetings I've ever been at. You know, they go over and say, okay, this was what was discussed last week, anything being done about it. It just seems like a lot of things are pushed back further and further. Or not getting done at all. Maybe that's why, I guess, Roman, that's why we need you here. You know, rather than being off in Washington or something like that, because you're the most experienced person here, are you not? Between you two?
Mr. Simon has got 2 years on you.
Oh, but, you know, you pretty much have a handle on it, and you're pretty well experienced. Dawn is fairly new. I mean, granted, she's been in the HR position, but as far as county decisions, you guys have been the ones making it, you know, this time. And with lack of people being here, it leads to delays and things could be part of the problem, and things not getting accomplished. Another thing is, Jerry and them brought up LEPC meetings. That would be something they'd be interested to have after that Thursday meeting, because from my understanding, is not a county commissioner supposed to be there for those?
Yeah, we have one assigned to the committee.
Yes, would that be something that possibly they could put out at?
Oh, like a report about?
Yeah, a report about what's going on with the LEPC to the public and stuff.
That's a good idea.
Those are just a few ideas that and as an observer, I see a lot of this and, you know, I would also ask that if someone comes to you with a agenda item, you know, they have their stuff already when they get here. Instead of, well, I don't have the letter, I don't have this, I don't have that. You know, like Ken Burley, he has all his stuff ready, you know, to discuss. And if you need your signature, you guys sign it. You know, every week, something else coming up because someone wasn't prepared. Maybe have them be a little more prepared about what's going on, about what they're asking. Just no ideas, just observations. Thank you.
So I'd like to bring up to you something that I've been shut down on before, on public comment, and that's the recording. And I'm glad to hear that you've changed your mind, because we got a pretty resounding absolutely never from Dwayne in December about recording meetings.
No,
And the hold on,
you and Donna.
the misunderstanding was that I was only speaking of Zoom, and that is a misunderstanding. I haven't done Zoom, I don't do Zoom, I don't find it to be that great. But you guys are talking about investing money into equipment. Looking for a grant is what Dawn said, to be able to do this. For $750, I bought, I should say my husband, for Christmas present, thanks a lot.
No, I got a plow out of it.
He got a plow. I got a computer, I got a HD quality camera and microphone, and this is not rocket science. We don't need an $800 owl camera to do this. What you need is a speaker with 2 microphones, one on your desk and one here. That way the people in the back of the room can hear those that are speaking, and you'll get a much better quality on whatever you record. Now, I'm offering, if you get a grant, I will get you up to speed. Every single thing I have recorded is on a hard drive and does qualify as a legal record the way I keep them. I have very much experience in federal records keeping. So I understand the responsibility and the differences between what you publish and what you record. And editing isn't just removing things. It's not blanking out somebody's name. It's not just that. It's also ensuring that people are aware of the date and time. Easily, I could add the markers that you want to be able to jump to agenda items. As I'm recording, I can make those markers. This is not rocket science, but it's a steep learning curve. And I think that the commissioners would be better suited to let Darren get up to speed on Darren's job and not add another job to Darren when he's just getting started. We've gone through 3 administrative assistants. This is our 3rd administrative assistant already. And part of the problem is you're heaping so much on. You talked about safety coordinator being a job that may need to be shared with somebody else because it's a lot. But now you want to heap on video recording that Darren's never done before. I'm offering, if you get a grant, I will do this for a year, then you can decide who you want to do it, and I can certainly get someone else within the courthouse with a job already up to speed. Otherwise, I'll be here every week. I'll still continue to record, and I adamantly and will continue to adamantly oppose any putting the press or public into the corner to record after you begin recording. I think that that is against all rights to participate and to know. Someone who can't hear from the back of the room, and that camera barely picks it up from there. So please consider these things when you decide. I don't want this job, but I think it's the smartest thing for me to do to offer this to you guys because I'm up to speed. Everything from November to this date forward could be put into your record with your county clerk. It's already on a hard drive, it's already been done, that's what I do. So I offer it to you. I will put an agenda item in for action if you would like. If not, I feel like you're not hearing your public, so I'll leave it at that, and thank you for your time.
Could I ask one question?
Sure.
So when you said, you have it on a hard drive, so for, storage purposes, what kind, is that like a USB or what?
No, it is a, I will show you that. So, I've been doing this since 1996, and I have video on these little, this is an external hard drive that you plug in by a USB, and it holds 5 terabytes.
Wow.
So this is enough to hold more than probably close to 3 gigabytes, 5 gigabytes, so let's say 5 gigabytes per meeting. So 5 gigabytes, this is probably more than enough for 52 weeks. And this can be plugged into any computer or Apple, and it reads instantly. And the format I put it in is a format that doesn't change and hasn't changed in over 20 years. So, and that can be done at the recording aspect, so there's no extra time of changing it to a format that fits better for YouTube and things like that. That's why he was so nice to buy it for me. But this can be dropped off on Monday at the recorder's office, so it is available for inspection, or even to you guys to approve as part of your minutes. And then it can be dropped off, picked back up on Friday, the new video put on it, and brought right back on Monday.
That could be downloaded onto your.
You can download it, you can view it from this, you can broadcast it from this with any computer or iPad. It's not specific, and the files are not, they're not floppy disks. This isn't a floppy disk, and it's not gonna go out of style as a floppy disk. And that's why I do these, and I have since 1996. So, I have support in the community, obviously by the views you guys have heard about. Last week's video now has 350 views already, and it's only been up 6 days.
Keep up the good work.
To comment on your earlier statement about the Zoom, Juliet, what I said no to was that we were not going to Zoom, and that is what I said. I didn't say we weren't going to record. I did not say that.
Well, when I spoke to you and tried to bring it up, when I spoke to the commissioners and tried to bring it up, I spoke about recording. I did not specifically say Zoom was the only option, because I was cut off repeatedly. I was never able to explain to you what your options are. So there is many options, many ways you could go about this.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
I'm glad you guys have changed your mind, that the public will appreciate this. So, thank you.
Okay, as a part of the public, Diane Magone, I, for one, want to say that I support Roman, your presidency, I guess that's what it's called, in Mako. I think it's a really valuable link for our county. I think there are certain issues that can be coordinated, that you can coordinate with, and also with legislation that's going on in the legislature, particularly now. So it's a good year to be president, actually, I think. So I appreciate the fact, and I see the benefit. I also realize that you are missed here, but you aren't gonna be gone a whole lot of meetings, I don't think.
I was gone to Washington DC one time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, and then on occasion we're gone for other reasons, not even Dawn's gone, she's not at Mako. And Dwayne might have vacation, he's going to Hawaii, he's gone, and I might go to Saco with a basketball game, can't get back in time for occasionally we're gone.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm trying to minimize my absence.
Yes, and I appreciate, and I think there's other people in the county that do appreciate also. And I don't know if what you were referring to was my letter last week when I came in to request the letter, me not being prepared.
No.
I don't know if that's what we're, the problem with that was, me thinking that the commissioners would write the letter, they asked me to write the letter. So, if that's what you were talking about, that was the reason, just to let you know. And also, Juliet, I appreciate the fact that you are willing to flag the agenda items. I mean, I realize you can scroll through and find them, but it is kind of time consuming. so that people can go right to them if there's something they're interested in. I think
I'm
that's-
glad that you understand editing isn't just removing
I know what
things.
editing is, yes, thank you. And also, the other thing I wanted to say was, the county already has it now. I don't know if you can use it for other things besides Zoom or not. Emily would know that. There's 2 owls available. I think the school district has one as well. And they're already purchased, so. I don't know what you can use them for. I don't know if you can use them and sync them with other cameras. I don't know. But they do have directional mics and directional viewers, so it's kind of a nice piece of equipment if it works. So, any questions or anything?
Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Roman, for doing what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
And you too, Dwayne.
Okay.
So, I've become aware in the last couple of weeks that there is mold found in the building, especially in the sheriff's office. And, I don't know who's gonna mitigate the mold, who's gonna certify that the building is mold-free, or any of the normal steps that would be taken care of once you have discovered it. But in my experience, more than being a medical issue, when you find black mold in your building, it's a legal issue. You're gonna get sued if you don't take the necessary steps. So when we were working on a lot of reservation jobs, old buildings, we encountered a lot of mold issues. And their attorneys, I visit all the meetings, inform them, if they don't notify the public, if something on your door or some way notify the public that there is black mold in this building, I don't even know if it's black mold, I don't know if you've had anybody come do the work to certify that it is. But if you don't notify them, and you end up in court in a lawsuit situation, you have just lost. Because you knew it was here, and you let the public into the building, into that building, without having a sign up saying if you have respiratory issues or some kind of these issues, there's been black mold discovered, you're doing everything you can to mitigate this issue. But I'm just recommending that you guys talk to Wally and you move forward and make sure that the county's covered and isn't gonna have, there's 1 million people out there wanna sue somebody. And all they gotta do is start coughing. So I think you need to move forward. I don't know who you've hired to mitigate it, but you also have to have the building certified when you're done that it's mold-free. And because this is a public building, I would recommend that you move forward very quickly. And also, if you don't fix whatever leak or whatever is putting the moisture into the building, you can seal it up all you want, it's just coming back. So you gotta get it dried, you gotta get the leaks fixed, then you gotta have it mitigated. And then you need to hire somebody that's licensed to come in and certify the building as mold-free. But I think it's something that's real serious and a little more on your plate.
On that same token, it's not just the sheriff's office.
Up to the podium if you're gonna speak.
Oh, I was just gonna.
Oh, are you done, Mike?
It's on the, yeah, on the same token, it's not just the sheriff's office. How about the whole building, the
You
detention
gotta
centers
certify
and
the whole
everything?
building.
Yeah.
Because the mold spore, just because it became visible there,
Yeah.
it don't mean it's not out here.
It doesn't mean it's not in the sheriff, in the detention center, and what criminal wouldn't wanna sit there and have a chance?
And so you can come in with the right people that come in and certify the building's
Right.
mold-free. And it takes, you can still run your meetings, they can still run the test, and they can come in, and once it's been mitigated, they'll come in and run the test. They just take the mold spores that's naturally occurring outside. The EPA has certain standards for what you can have inside, and make sure that you don't exceed that. Because this can be pretty serious, and it can be quite expensive. But your insurance should pay for all of it. So, but I just thought I'd let you know that it can get nasty really quick. Okay.
12 o'clock, that is the end of public comment. Thank you. We will break for lunch.
Quick question, are you guys gonna attend the writ upstairs? Did you decide on that?
Probably be there for a while.
Okay, cause it said maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case we're both at the same time, we have to post that we might be in that room together.
Thank you for saving your time.
Possible quorum.
I think you should.
So we could alternate, or we might be there at the same time.
We may.
Okay.
The public service meeting, your public safety meeting
Darren,
is upstairs.
if you leave the room, we lock it, so make sure the computer don't get down.
The public safety meeting's upstairs.
I'm sure it's like that.
And then the Wally, and then the writ Zoom is in the same
I think we're
place.
gonna do it at 2:30 because the trial canceled.
Oh, they're not doing it now till 2:30?
Zoom is, the writ is 2:30.
What's
The 12 o'clock one,
The 12 is the public safety.
that's the safety.
Oh, 2:30 is the.
The writ.